Hey everybody, welcome back. Two of us are missing in action. Manya's busy. She got work stuff. So you're stuck with me and Dapper. We don't know where Landon is. Landon's AFK. We lost him. somewhere in the ether. Dapper, are you back from getting your drink yet? I've been abandoned. I think I can hear Dapper making his drink in the background. Nobody wanted to come on with me today because guess what? We're talking more about the Canada-America negotiation implosion,
Okay,
I
I came
guess is
back.
the word. Hey, welcome back. What's going on? Hey, it's Debate Pub. It's us. It's me and Dapper.
Oh, hello. Are we live?
Yeah,
Oh, you went live while I was off getting my drink.
I did. I pressed the button.
I see. Hello, everyone. I'm here.
Hi. We've been abandoned.
That's okay. I'm okay with it.
It's okay. We can manage. We have
Yeah.
lots to
With
say, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, I will say that it is always a slog whenever I have to stream with just Chesh, but we'll get through it.
That's why he brings Tisdall.
Like you're not the one who brought Tisdall.
I know. All right. So, okay, the first thing we got to talk about today, which is going to be probably a bit of a conversation, is
Oh
the
no.
I've been talking about a lot on my channel, which is the Canada America trade negotiations. Now, I've had a lot to say about this, and I'm sure anybody who's followed my channel
Negotiations
over
is such a generous word.
negotiations is such a generous term. So, I'm going to I will never stop talking about this. So I want to let Dapper have his say first, even though the rule here is that Dapper's not allowed to go first, but I'll allow it this time. What do you think,
All right.
Dapper?
So, do you remember back when the elbows up thing really started, and suddenly all the Canadian provinces were like, "Hey, maybe we should lower some of our interprovincial trade barriers because they're really fucking stupid." They don't get a whole lot less stupid when you put them across the Canadian-U.S. border. They're still stupid. They're still making everyone poorer. They're still making everything more expensive for both countries because Donald Trump is insecure about how tiny his dick is. You're muted.
I mean that is a big part of it, right? Like I don't know if it's just me, and you guys in the chat can also let me know what you think about it, but it seems to me that Donald Trump wishes he was Mark Carney.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Carney doesn't have an approval rating of 33%.
Well, he's got a almost nearly double approval rating in the 60s. He's also done 20 deals across multiple countries in the matter of
De-
like months.
Deals he didn't need to immediately shred.
Yeah. What was it, 100 deals in 100 days, whereas we've gotten like multiple trade negotiations done at like
Holy
20
fuck,
different.
I forgot that that was even a thing.
The 100 deals in 100 days?
I forgot about that entirely because of how dumb and obviously not true it was. And I
Oh
just
my
put it out of
god.
my brain.
I would
I
like to I
forgot.
would I would like to tell everybody where that count is at. Do you know what the count's at, Dapper, for 100
How
deals in
many?
100 days?
Well, I mean,
0!
yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it still just at zero?
It's he couldn't even make a deal with Canada.
Oh my god. The thing is, the thing that annoys me the most is okay. There was a deal with Canada.
There
Then,
is a deal with Canada. There's a deal with Canada right now. Just
well,
being
okay, but
violated.
like, let me finish the thing because
Mm,
there was a deal with Canada.
yeah.
Then
Mm-hmm.
Trump shredded it in his first term and made another deal, and it was a
NAFTA,
shittier
yeah.
deal, but it was a deal. And then he said it's a terrible deal. I don't know who would have signed that deal, even though it was fucking you who signed
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
Donald. And he's like, I'm gonna tear that one up. And
Dolan.
then now where are we? Oh, we're at a stupid fucking trade war that's going to increase the price of everything with aluminum or food in it. Do you know what a percentage of the things that I use on a daily basis that have aluminum or food? It's like it's like 80% of the stuff I use on a daily basis has either aluminum or food in it.
True.
Some things
Yeah.
have both. Sometimes
Some
I
things
drink a
have both.
can
Sometimes
because
you use aluminum foil to cover your food.
geez, yeah, you want to pay $20 for a beer because
Oh,
Donald Trump wants you to.
that's very sad. I think that Yeah, the 100 deals and 100 days thing. Here's something that I've talked about this extensively on my channel, and some of that's going to come out on the Debate Hub, so if you're curious about a lot of that, it'll come out. But what Dapper brings up is the NAFTA into Kuzma into wherever the fuck we are now, right? One of the major differences between NAFTA, which was negotiated like quite a long time ago, back in the olden days.
Clinton?
No, it was before Clinton. Like, I mean, NAFTA got renegotiated every so often. It has a 6-year, like, it gets
maybe that's what I was thinking
re-talked about. And that would have been Clinton and Jean Chrétien. And when NAFTA was being negotiated... Okay, hold on, let me go back. Mulrooney was the prime minister at the time. I'm not sure which president that was, but Mulrooney was the prime minister. And when they negotiated the first NAFTA, there was criticism from the opposition in Canada because it gave America a percentage of our oil exports. To be like, hey, anytime you export oil, you're giving... America has to get a priority on a percentage of those sales, or of the oil that you're selling, right? And so that's why... If you look at a map of all the oil pipelines, they all go south from Canada. Until recently. So, when NAFTA came up for renegotiation and whether or not we're going to redo it or things that get changed every so often, Bill Clinton tried to get water included under that. And Jean Chrétien was like, oh, fuck no. So he managed to negotiate water out and away from being in the same deal that the oil was in. Now, when Trump got into office in 2016, it was up, I believe, in 2016. I believe it was up in 2018. So NAFTA got negotiated into Kuzma or the USMCA or whatever they call it in Mexico, where it starts with an M. I'm gonna call it
I love that everyone managed to get their own just bespoke name for the same treaty. Thanks.
Yeah, they just reorder the countries.
It doesn't count if it doesn't say the name of my country in it.
So the thing that's at the front, the name of my country at the front, C-U-S-A-M, Kuzma.
You know what NAFTA didn't have?
Agreement.
Any favoritism in the name.
Yeah, very silly. Anyway. So when Trump was in office in 2018 for this renegotiation from NAFTA and what now became Kuzma, or whatever you call it, wherever you are respectively, it was Donald Trump versus Justin Trudeau. And Justin Trudeau and his team managed to negotiate out this horrific oil agreement, part of the agreement, which was really, really good for the United States and really, really bad for us. It basically gave America a huge amount of leverage and a huge amount of like pressure it could put on to whether or not Canada was basically allowed to ship oil to places that were not America, or it would be able to heftily limit the amount that Canada was able to do, which is why not long after that, because Mr. Big Deal Donald Trump managed to get out negotiated by a drama teacher. We ended up with a pipeline that goes out west, which is toward Asia, towards Japan.
Here's one quick weird thing, though.
West, yep.
If I told you that the Prime Minister of Canada and Donald Trump were negotiating, and then I said, of those two heads of state, well, I guess technically Trudeau isn't the head of state, but whatever, of those chief executives of their respective country, one of them has appeared in blackface, and it wasn't Donald Trump.
I know, right? Oh, the infamous Aladdin costume.
Yeah.
This is the different, there's like a lot of differences in the way things are handled in different countries by parliamentarians. And the United States has a really hard time coping with things that have happened that were bad.
Yeah, that's accurate.
You know what I mean? So, for example, I very much appreciate and enjoy Jean Chrétien. I think, he's 91. Last year, he went to Ukraine to be like, what's going on, guys? And why did he go? Because he felt like it. He was curious. That's why he went. 91. When he went. He's 92 now.
Sometimes you just gotta figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so Jean Chrétien is the guy who is known for the quote-unquote Shawinigan handshake. And that was when he choked a bitch. During, like, a protest type thing. He's hilarious. He is very, very funny. Like, he is very charismatic. He's very funny. Most of what he says is pretty reasonable. Like, he's not out there, you know what I mean? However, when gay marriage was on a main talking point in Canadian politics, he was not pro-gay marriage. But he would say, all right, yeah, no, I'm not for this. I don't think this should be a thing. But that was about it. He wasn't going around campaigning saying gay people are evil or anything like that. He was just saying this was his opinion. As the prime minister, that holds a little bit more weight. But guess what? In our politics, it's not up to the prime minister. It's up to our version of the Supreme Court. It's up to the Charter of Rights to be like, is this a violation of rights to disallow this? Yes, no. And turned it out, yeah, that's a violation of rights. So you know what he never brought up again? That. So he's never after the fact campaigning against it. He was never after the fact being like, we need to repeal this. It was never after the fact that he was pushing for anybody's rights. Ever again. Yeah. Like, it never came up. So, like, was it good or bad that he was against gay people getting married at the time? Which would have been, like, the early 90s? Yeah, it's not a good position to have. In retrospect, it looks really bad. Does that make him a horrible person? And does that undo all of the good things that he did? Especially if he's not anti-LGBTQ now?
I'm still going with yes.
Okay, go on. Elaborate. Why?
No, I refuse.
Oh, okay.
You can't make me.
I look forward to one day somebody watching any of these videos or anybody coming across anything I've said at any given point in time in the future and finding out whatever I've said is horrifically offensive. Like, that means we made progress, at least in a direction.
That's true, yeah.
I'm up for that.
There was one thing I wanted to point out, which was that the marriage question was also settled in the United States by the courts and not the president. So
yeah,
the way that you worded it seemed to make it seemed to imply that you thought it was the other way around, but like, no, it's still the courts.
I don't believe that your Supreme Court is separated enough to be considered its own entity to make a decision.
It was at that point, which is why it made that decision.
Oh. Like, I'll put it this way then. I don't see things like, we don't have politicians campaigning on ending gay marriage.
No.
For example, or abortion rights, or anything like that. You get a couple people that will, like, kind of inch a little bit towards the line where their head look like they're looking like that direction, but that's never actually, like, they're not willing to, like, walk past that.
Yeah.
Because it's political suicide.
As it should be. Let people do what they want, man.
Well, yeah, because like, it's a right. You're not.
The only argument I've ever heard that has in any way made even a little bit of sense is like, I think it's icky. All right, cool. Lots of people think lots of things are icky. I think you are. Not you, Chesh, but the person making this argument.
Oh, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. You're welcome. You know. I mean, it's not to say that you aren't icky. I'm just saying that in this particular context, I didn't mean you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Red Cedar points out that Maple MAGA does lead that way. Yeah, there are extremists in Canada, right? They exist, and they will lean those directions, but they don't have any ground. They don't go anywhere. Like, again, for example, the one that did have any ground had his fucking majority swept out from under him.
Oh, no.
And then he has done nothing but get worse and worse and worse and worse, and he's dragging his entire party down with him, and it's glorious. In glorious fire. So, I don't know, there's very large cultural differences between Canada and America, and there's also, like, a lot of priority, like, how we prioritize things, and, like, what our principles are. I don't think have ever been more different than they are right now. At least, not obviously so. Like, it's so stark at the moment.
So, I think one of the things there, though, is that, like, is it that America has changed? Or is it that the worst parts of America have come to the fore? And I don't know the answer to that question.
If I was going to be mean about it, like if I was going to be aggressive, I would say that Donald Trump is a fantastic representation of the caricature of the worst parts of America, which seems to be very much representative of too much of actual America in reality.
Yeah, I don't think that that's really is something that could be argued against in good faith. I'll say that.
Mm. Does this person not have a security clearance? You'd be correct. That person does not have a security clearance. There's a lot of, in any country, there's like equal amounts of nuance regardless of the size of your country. And sometimes that size can exacerbate different problems. I have a sneaking suspicion that one of the problems that America faces is this thing where they've built in resentment because they've left each other behind. So there are parts of, because like the states are doing things state by state by state by state, and you have states that are like decades behind other states of like civil rights stuff that's kind of fucking important. Like, it's one thing if they're like, oh, well, we haven't, updated our computer system in like 20 years, but it still functions, is different than we don't let gay people have kids and don't let them adopt. Like, that's a big difference between one state to another state. And the overall governance has not either convinced or has not dragged some people kicking and screaming like they need to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you get people getting left behind. And those people know that they're being left behind, right? Like, they get looked down upon by other states because they don't... And they should be! They should be shamed! You should be ashamed of yourselves! Yep. But that resentment builds up in a way that ends up, like, in a negative feedback loop, right?
Yeah, I can see that. But it still doesn't really answer the question of, is this the actual character of America? Has it always been? And has it changed? And the thing is, so part of it is I don't actually know, right? Because I remember feeling like this was not what even the conservatives that I knew were in favor of. Even though they were in favor of some stuff that, like,
sure,
seems not like a great idea. But like, I don't know. But the other thing is, like, I mean, American conservatives took to the racism and even the blatant fascism
so fast.
It was immediate. They were just like, oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I've been wanting.
We've been here the whole time. I think that the part of the problem is I think that there's like two versions of the United States, right? There's, and then there's like somewhere in between, there's like the truth of the matter. I think the two versions of the United States is, one is people believing that the United States was the ideal. Like, so the United States, land of the free, home of the brave, we fight Nazis, we have some of the best medical advancements and scientific advancements in the world, right? Well, yes, but there's an asterisk to basically... Right, but asterisks, right? There's asterisks to almost all of these things. So you have people that legitimately and earnestly believe that America wasn't, this wasn't an ideal for Americans and America to reach towards, but it was what America already was. It is the land of the free. It is the home of the brave, right? As opposed to a handful of other Americans who are like the very like corporatized racism. Right, like so you have like the people who are like realizing that America has never really been that ideal, people who want to become, realizing they're not that ideal and want to become that ideal again, but there's still this overarching mist of like huffing paint, or like huffing your own, what's the word when you smoke your own supply. Right? Like, you're believing too much of your own hype. It's not that America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. It's that America wants to be and work toward being the best at those two things. Because not only is it not the best at those two things, it's not even the only land of the free and the only home of the brave. Right?
It's not really very high up in the standings on either of those things.
Certainly not right now, at least. I don't know if it ever was that high. And I think that's part of the, like, the great American dream, right? The great illusion. Of, like, was America ever this thing? And did America ever really want to be that thing? And I think that there were people who did. I think there's a large portion of the population that does want to be the ideal of what they think America is supposed to be. I just don't... I think those people are paralyzed right now. They don't know what to do. And one of the reasons why they don't know what to do is because the education system And the propaganda machine has just been pounding them in the head for decades.
I mean, I can't disagree.
Well, I don't know. That's just my take. I'm an outsider, though, right? I only have like what I can look at from the outside and be like, has America ever been that great? Oh, parts of it. There are things that are really good, right? There are
It
things about
depends
America that's nice,
what you're talking about.
right? And depends on
Like,
what you're comparing it to.
for a very long time, it was one of the best places to go if you wanted to do research.
Yep.
And it was a place where you could get it. You would have to pay through the fucking nose for it, but you could get some of the best available healthcare in terms of like actual quality of care and availability of treatments.
Yep.
Of course, not if you were poor, but like don't be poor is the actual American ideal.
Yeah, I think that's part of the there's been
You're
warnings
poor?
about this.
Stop it.
Yeah, just stop. Have you considered not? Start with putting away $3,000 a week. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
There's there's something to be said about like class warfare, right? And I don't know. I don't know. There's like it. What is it called? Social mobility. When how
Yeah.
easy is it for you to move upwards in like social class versus downwards in social class? Where in the United States it's incredibly easy to move down, but next to impossible to move up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I mean, it depends on
Socioeconomic
exactly
mobility.
how many times you or how many different classes you divide it into.
Oh,
But
sure.
yeah, overall, it's pretty hard to get up to the top echelons.
I mean, there's been
Most
for a
people
while. Sorry, go ahead.
most people will switch which quartile of income they're in at least a couple times during their lives, including going up in
Yeah.
America. But like the wealth inequality is such that being in like even like the third quartile in terms of like the third highest quartile for wealth is not much of a thing when you're comparing yourself to fucking Elon Musk. So
Yeah, there's that. It's really easy. I mean, I would point out one of the biggest differences between Canada and America right now. If you want to get rich, like stupid rich, don't come to Canada. You can't be this insane level of rich that they have in the United States in Canada. You just it doesn't work. Our system isn't built to enable that. So like this is not the place you want to be if you want to like have that insane amount of money. There's a reason why like Elon got his citizenship but then doesn't come here. Right? Nobody likes him. Nobody applauds this man. I hope we revoke it. I hope we had a petition that has reached over 200,000 signatures last time I looked at it, which was like earlier this week. To kick Pete Hoekstra out of the country.
oh yeah, the U.S. ambassador.
Yeah, the ambassador. Fucking go away.
I had to remember who that was.
Yeah, Pete Hoekstra. Yeah, I think one of the problems. So I think there's a handful of problems. One of them is education, right, and propaganda. Like people have just been beaten down. The second one is this class warfare issue because people in the United States are too busy trying to survive to be able to do anything else, right? And that's getting worse. And then I would say there's this other issue, and it's this American individualism where there's only America and not America, and we don't care about not America. And then we also only care about us in America, not the other parts of America. And it's so
Why
like
would anyone
that.
care about the other parts?
Right. Right. And so it like, and that just gets more and more and more sequestered, more and more narrow and more, and that turns into the, what do you mean the leopards are eating my face? They're supposed to eat those guys' faces. Take Elon back and let him roam the Yukon Territory on foot. Just drop him off in Alaska. He recently, by the way, that's one of the things, the other things we should talk about, or one of the other things that we have on deck here. Let me show you. We got Elon Musk.
It's been a while since we had to talk about Elon, and now we have to do it again.
Yeah, hi. Elon Musk refuses Ukrainian request to enable Starlink for deep strikes inside Russia. Because he's a douchebag.
Alright, I'm gonna I'm going to go ahead and say that while I would prefer that he allow it, if I were him, I absolutely would not, because I don't want to get thrown out of a window by a Putin spy.
You think he's too in bed with Putin to be like,
No,
be
I
able to
think he
pull it
knows
off?
that Putin would assassinate his ass.
Oh, then that's an extra reason why he should do it, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, but that's because you would be okay with Elon Musk dying. But what I'm saying is, if I were Elon, I probably wouldn't be okay with Elon Musk dying. So I get why he wouldn't do that.
Oh yeah,
But
I
like,
get. Well, he also he turned them off at one point for Ukraine and basically blacked them out of internet
yeah,
for a hot fucking minute.
but like, if you were to come to me and say, Dapper, now I know that Vladimir Putin knows your name and knows where you live, but I would like you to personally fuck him over. I would say no. I'm not gonna do that.
I don't know. If I had that kind of money and that kind of power, I think I would. I think I would have already been fucking him over. Then again, I'm Canadian, and Canada has a pretense to fuck you, Russia,
Okay,
and
but
has for a
also,
very long time.
you're not a psychopath who only cares about yourself.
No, that has nothing to do with it. It's not because I care about Ukraine. It's because I'd be like, ha, fuck that guy in particular. Tee.
No, yeah, that's my point. Is because Elon Musk doesn't care about fucking that guy. He only cares about himself.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme. That's a pretty extreme level of like narcissism.
Like, I don't think that Elon Musk is generally spiteful. I think he's childish
Oh yeah,
and
valid.
also a narcissist.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I'm spiteful. If I was Elon Musk, if I had that kind of money and that kind of power, you think I wouldn't be messing with like governance in other countries? I absolutely would be. But then again, I'm Canadian, and I really think it's like a little bit of just a Canadianism. So many of things have happened to fucking Russia just because
You're
one
Canadian?
Yeah, one random Canadian was bored one day and was like, I'm gonna follow the money here. Oh, it's going to this Russian thing. Oh, well, maybe don't. And then reporting it. And then the UN being like, nah, you're not allowed to have any money, Russia.
You can't do that. It's not allowed.
Canadians are really spiteful.
You know what? That reminds me of Robot Jocks, the world where war is illegal. And so if a country goes to war, that country is going to jail. Because that makes sense. Because war is illegal.
How do you put a whole country in jail?
That is a part of the movie's world that is not actually explored in favor of having mech battles.
Oh, fair. I guess.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
The mech battles are fun in a stop motion Ray Harryhausen kind of way.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
So back to the we're talking about a little bit between like the philosophies of America and the philosophy of Canada, and like the two main examples that I can give to like shorthand it really quick is salad bowl versus soup. Melting pot versus salad bowl tends to be the fucking two analogies, where America's a melting pot where it's
where's the sandwich?
Oh, soups and sandwich. No, it's the melting pot of taking all the cultures, mixing them together, and melting them into one culture, which isn't really very accurate unless you like heftily filter out what it doesn't. And then the salad bowl is we have kind of everybody doing their own thing, and that's fine. All within the rules of the bowl is basically the way it works. And so those are like the design philosophies between Canada and the United States. But when it comes down to trade, right, like Dapper said, this Kuzma that Donald Trump signed is way worse for the United States. And the prior one was way worse for Canada. So now they want to, like, the United States wants to shove back in the stuff that was in NAFTA before Donald Trump got his hands on it and fucked it up for them.
Which he could have just left in place.
Which he could have just not done. He could have just not done that thing. And we would have continued to get screwed over. And we would have been like, well, we agreed to it, so fuck us, I guess. Instead of being a giant baby and changing the name of a fucking lake on one singular map with a Sharpie. I really thought he was gonna spell something wrong. I was waiting for him to misspell America.
That would have been pretty funny. Do you
But
think he actually knows how to spell America? Yeah, I guess he does, because he's written in a lot of his, what are they called? Truths? Is that what you call a
yeah,
post on Truth Central? You truth it?
yeah, he truthed. I suspect that not only is the president's reading level very low, like his reading grade level very low, but I don't think he can read cursive. Like I am
Uh,
convinced he cannot
yeah,
read cursive.
maybe not. I don't know. I mean, he signs his name in cursive.
Yes, but that's just his name and just his signature and just it's him.
Okay, so
So,
schools aren't teaching cursive really anymore. How
not
long until
anymore.
we get a president who can't sign his name in cursive, and so just puts it in big dumb block letters?
Oh no. Okay, my
You know
my
it's coming.
evidence. Oh
It's
no, I
gonna be the
don't
first
know.
like Gen Alpha president,
Oh, I will be dead.
because there will never be a millennial president,
No,
because
there's
we're
never
gonna
gonna be a
skip
millennial
right over
president.
that entire generation.
Sacrificial generation, just out the window. Just Vladimir Putin them out the window. It's fine. the the I my evidence for Donald Trump can't read cursive is that Keir Starmer handed him a handwritten letter from the king, from or King Charles, and he
Okay.
opened it and just stared at it. And then Keir Starmer had to tell him what it
Hmm.
said.
Oh no. I hate that so much. I hate I hate everything about that. Ah.
There's no way. There's no way he could read it. I am convinced. So if anybody wants to
Oh.
write letters to your president, write them in cursive. And if anybody wants to, send anything that you're worried the United States president might look at, write it in cursive. He'll never figure it out. He might eat. You guys remember when he ate the memo? Like, he literally picked up and ate a piece of paper?
This is the dumbest fucking timeline.
It's so bad. Okay, so Canada walked away from the trade negotiating table, right? What do you
As
think?
you might expect.
As you might expect, because Canada is not gonna just sit there and take this abuse, I guess. What do you think's gonna happen? What do you think the fallout's gonna be? How long do you think it's gonna last? Because obviously Canada and America have to work together to some degree, and Kuzma is still in
Right.
effect until like 2030 something or another. So like,
I think it'll be until the next time a close Trump ally really needs to make a stock trade, and they need for the market to go up.
oh,
Because I mean,
mm-hmm.
let's be honest about what's going on here. The Trump presidency has been at least 40% just an excuse for Trump cronies to do insider trading.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
Like that's like I don't think I need to explain why that's just obviously the case.
yeah. No, you're good. I got you.
Okay.
Mania's just gonna peek at the chat. Since we're staying like this most of the time right now. There we go.
I like that you have an entire black quadrant of this that you could put the chat in, but no, we're gonna have Manya glaring at.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what if Landon pops in? If Landon pops in, that's where he's gonna show up. And if he shows up and it's covered, I'm not gonna be able to see that he's here.
That's true. I forgot that Landon could just happen to show up.
He could just pop in and who knows? I hope he's okay. I hope nothing happened.
I'm guessing, just guessing, but I'm guessing that he fell asleep.
Oh, good. Good for him. Sleeping is good.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Sleeping is good.
I think you've got a good point. I think you have a good point that there's going to be some insider trading in effect that's going to influence when the United States decides it wants to try to re-enter and go onto the negotiating table. Do you think? How do you think Canada's going to respond?
I mean, I think they'll come to the negotiating table.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't think they have much of an option. Like, what is the other option? Canada just doesn't have an in effect trade agreement with the United States. That's a worse
Well,
option.
Kuzma is currently an in effect trade deal, so it's already existing.
But is it though? Because Trump's just slapping random ass tariffs, so it's not. Really
yeah, but is signing a deal going to change that?
Well, that's the other thing, right? Is that it doesn't matter what deal you negotiate with Trump because he doesn't abide by deals. This is a man who is notorious for just not paying contractors.
Yeah.
So, like,
We need to name a lake after Michelle Obama. Change Michigan to Michelle. That'd be better. He hates women,
Michelle,
especially black women.
he sure does. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think Canada will come up to the table and try
Mhm.
to negotiate, and then I think that what will probably happen is that at least a few more times, Trump will give absurd nonsense requirements that no one is ever going to agree to because they're
Yeah.
insane.
Right.
Um, but then eventually, after several more rounds of varying tariffs of like, oh, I'm going to tariff maple syrup or whatever.
Hockey
Um,
sticks this time.
yeah,
And I'm
hockey
not
sticks.
kidding.
We're gonna. Eventually, there will be some kind of okay-ish trade deal that will suck for both sides. Will probably be worse than the most recent version of NAFTA that Trump trashed. And
Mm.
then Trump will just go back on it again whenever a Canadian pisses him off, right?
Okay.
So
Mhm.
like Rick Moranis could come out and call Trump a small dick child rapist, and
Uh-huh.
Trump will just slap a tariff because that guy's Canadian.
I suspect. I think I agree with you, but with a little bit of a different take on Canada's response. Because the last time the negotiating table kind of got put on the back burner or put high and dry for a little while, America came to Canada multiple times before we picked up the phone. So I suspect, and particularly because, have you seen Carney's speech that he gave?
I've only seen clips.
Okay, that's fine. The one of the parts in that you may have seen, it said that they're not going to come to the table or we're done negotiating with the United States until they have the right attitude. So I think that little nugget is ostensibly going to mean that Canada's not necessarily going to be picking up the phone right away. Like, will Canada negotiate with America? Yes, eventually they'll have to. We're too geographically close to each other. It's too convenient. It's ridiculous to not at all, and
Yeah.
probably next to impossible to
Also, the
not.
two economies are so intertwined. Like if you look at how many
Mm,
times the parts of a car cross the border in order for a car to be made in either Canada or the United States, it's like dozens of times that various parts have had to cross the border.
untangling the automotive sector is a big deal that is nigh impossible with one really, really strong red string. And that red string is the Canadian consumers, specifically. And the reason I say it's the Canadian consumers is because Canada and Canadians buy like an insane percentage of the American car exports. Like it's the number is like 70% or something insane.
Jeez.
So if the Canadian people stop buying cars that are built in the United States and or stop buying cars that are American branded, it is going to cripple. You know how the tourism industry has been crippled? That's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen but to the automotive sector.
Yeah.
So that is a really hard and fastball way that the Canadians, as a civil thing, not as like a trade deal situation, as a civil thing, could do that would seriously undermine the network that is the complicated crossing of the border and automotive industry, right?
Yeah.
Mm. Eh. Ah. On top of things like, oh, we're just gonna tariff all your steel. Like, I mean, okay, that's gonna hurt your own industry. And oh, they're gonna come and work in America. Have any plants been built for the automotive sector in the United States yet?
Well, interestingly, there was a plant that was going to be built by a Korean automotive company, and then some white trash woman decided to alert ICE that there were a bunch of illegal Koreans at this plant, who, by the way, were the engineers and executives who were overseeing the construction of the plant in America that was going to provide American jobs, and who
Oh
were there
no.
legally, And then they were held in ICE concentration camps for about 100 days. And for a while afterwards, various American elected officials in that state, I don't remember which one it was, were visiting South Korea. Like state governors and senators were doing state visits to South Korea to be like, I think it was like Hyundai. They were like,
Yeah.
please come back and finish this plant. And they were like,
No.
no. You put like 100 of, you put dozens of people in a fucking concentration camp for months for no reason
Mm-hmm.
because some racist told you to. No one is going back to your trash country.
It's bad. It's bad, guys. I don't know. And this is like the other thing too, right? There's so much. There's so many things just working against the United States. Like at this point, it's a trade war, right? Like nobody's mincing words about it anymore. Like it's been like a conflict, and it's been like, oh, it's been this, it's been that, it's been aggressive rhetoric, blah blah blah. It's been a full, and it is now just being called by everybody a full-on trade war. So that is no longer in contention. The United States, the journalists, the politicians, everybody in the United States is now calling it a trade war. People in Canada are already calling it a trade war now. So that is ostensibly, I mean, I would say it's been a trade war, but
kind of war, by the way.
oh my god, it's so stupid. It's the dumbest kind of war with a country you already have like a good deal with. Like,
and also,
oh,
can I just say how stupid the trade deficit is?
Oh, it's so dumb.
The
math is insane.
A trade deficit means that you buy more from a country than that country buys from you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I have a gigantic trade deficit with the grocery store. Do you know how little the grocery store buys from me?
They're
ripping me off, apparently.
America doesn't even have a proper trade deficit with Canada. That was finagled. They had to finagle those numbers, and most of those numbers came from the amount of electricity they buy, the amount of energy, and the oil and the natural gas. Because the United States gets 90% of its natural gas from Canada. 90%.
Oh, you know what's a fun thing to ask people? Is, oh, hey, did you know that the United States has a negative foreign capital investment from Canada? Don't you think we should fix that? You know what the foreign capital investment is?
What?
It's the inverse of the trade deficit. You stick a negative sign on it, or you stick a positive sign and change the sign, and that's what that is.
Can I show you something?
Because what it is the amount of capital, aka money, coming into the country from the foreign country. Why does America want to hate Canadian dollars? They spend just as well as anyone else's dollars once you do the conversion rate.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna show you guys something really quick. And I think Dapper's gonna get a kick out of this. So this is Google Earth, right? We got Google Earth here. There's the United States. Canada's up here, right? And here's Lake Ontario, i.e. Lake America and Lake Erie. Erie's here. Lake Ontario's here, right? Mm-hmm. So there's this really important area called Niagara Falls that most of you will know about. It's near Buffalo. If we zoom on in here, right, in from Lake Erie, right, you go in, you zoom up. There's the Niagara River. You can follow the Niagara River. There's Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls comes out and goes right up into Lake Ontario. And then from Lake Ontario, you can go out, right? You can go out to the Atlantic, right? So that's like, you can't really traverse these falls very well, right? Like, if you're a big boat trying to carry a lot of, like, stuff, it's not very easy to go up this giant-ass fucking falls. Right. However, if you move slightly to the left, you see this? You just move over. You just move over. Just what's this? Oh, what do we have here? Is this?
That looks like a canal.
Is this lovely little space that we've dug out that goes right into Ontario, straight through?
Sure.
And do you want to know where this is? The northern side, the Canadian side of Lake Erie. Look where it goes through. That's St. Catharines. There's Niagara Falls. Look at the border. It's here. This is wholly on the Canadian side of the border. There are 8 locks in this little, like, Welland canal thingamadoodly, right? 7 of them are owned by Canada. 1 of them is owned by the United States.
Nice.
So this Gordie Howe Bridge is the other thing, right? And don't worry, put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to this. The Gordie Howe Bridge is the one at Detroit, right? It's the one that they've added right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's this fancy new one. The other bridge that existed, wherever that is, somewhere around the same area, I think it might be this one, is owned by a private family in the United States and has been owned by a private family in the United States since its inception. Yeah, a private citizen owns a bridge, which is the only bridge between the two countries that had to be used for commerce. So the tolls on it were super duper high, and it was maintained like shit. Obviously. Which is why we built the Gordie Howe Bridge. So if the Americans want to trade with us through Detroit, they have to use the Gordie Howe Bridge or pay out the nose to this one fucking family in the United States. So, real quick, let's go back. So you travel, you're doing trade, you're doing stuff in Michigan, and you trade down into Huron, and you go to Lake Erie, and then you travel through to Lake Ontario, because this services all the Great Lakes. This is all the fucking trade that goes through, that travels through all of these areas, has to go through this canal. Which is definitely not an allegory right now for the Strait of Hormuz, right? Okay? So, here's the other thing. When you leave, and you want to go out to the Atlantic, you're taking the St. Lawrence River. The St. Lawrence River is right here. And you can see that there's the border, right? It follows along until about here. And then it splits off and goes into definitively fucking Montreal. And then goes definitively straight into Canada. And then you keep following it, There you go. There's Quebec City, And here it goes, and it starts to expand, and as you can see, it spreads out and goes out into here, which then goes out into the Atlantic proper. And if you look at this, you will notice that it goes in here, we saw past Montreal, and you see it right about here, right? Just on the northern tip of New York. And then it is surrounded by Quebec, New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, Labrador, Newfoundland. Get fucked. It's just surrounded by provinces. So America does not have trade access through the center here from the Great Lakes out to the Atlantic. It's all blocked by just geography.
Unless, of course, we have a nice trade deal, which we effectively don't.
Unless you have a really nice trade deal, right? You would think. Now, keep in mind, I would like to point out, and just because I think this is something that people forget, most of our provinces are not landlocked. Most of our provinces. So British Columbia goes out right here. Yeah. Yukon grows out here
Alberta,
and out here.
Saskatchewan.
Alberta and Saskatchewan are the only two that are actually proper landlocked. None of it, the Northwest Territories and the Yukon are all water, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba. So Alberta and Saskatchewan are the only ones that are landlocked. Now,
okay. Yeah. I was going to say, can we just split Manitoba right down the middle and give the eastern half to Ontario and the western half to, like, Alberta, and then just get rid of Manitoba? Because I keep forgetting that Manitoba exists, and if it didn't exist, that would be more convenient for me.
I think that would be a problem because Saskatchewan's in between.
Oh, did I say Alberta? I meant Saskatchewan. I'm sorry.
Oh, you want to give Manitoba to Saskatchewan and Ontario?
Yeah.
That would be...
Just not have Manitoba.
Do you have any idea how big that would make Ontario?
Yes, I do, because I'm looking at it right now.
That would be fucking insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, I keep forgetting that it exists.
Yes.
So, it's one of those things. It's like Wyoming. I wouldn't remember that Wyoming is a thing unless I had been there, which I have, and I've never been to Manitoba. So, like, and is there really a good reason for Manitoba to exist? Because there's no good reason for Wyoming to exist.
So I would suggest that Manitoba is a little bit different than Saskatchewan in just look at how much more water there is. So, like, this is all...
Saskatchewan some extra water.
Yeah, no, Lake Winnipeg is fucking huge. Like, the
It
fact that
is.
Lake Winnipeg is not a fucking Great Lake is kind of only because it's not attached.
Yeah.
Okay. So if one of the things that I think people forget is we have 3 exit points: north, east, and west. We just don't have a southern. We don't go out. Whoops. We don't go out southern, right? So we don't have. We can't go. Eh, eh. We don't have a direct like out like the Gulf of Mexico. We can't. We can't get down that way.
You
Right? We
fools.
we can go from like Nova Scotia down, and we can easily get to like Mexico to trade, but we are stuck at like the furthest down we can go in waterways is like Chicago. But you know, that's how much of a limiting factor is that really when you're talking about geopolitical trade on a global scale? Like, we can get to basically everywhere. We don't need the United States. And none of our provinces really need the United States to be able to trade and get around, right? We need to work together better, but we can do that. So,
So
like, we
it
don't,
depends on what you need by need, right? Because like
yeah,
without the access to like the land routes through the United States, trade is going to be more expensive between Mexico and Canada, as well as
yes,
just like
yes.
broadly South America. So if by need you mean like will Canada cease to exist as a functioning, entity?
Hmm.
No, but would it be worse off without access to like the land routes through the US? Absolutely.
They're also building a new port in for the St. Lawrence in Quebec as well. They're doing a new one. So there's just going to be more coming in. Now on the plus side, as far as I know, there's been a lot of work in the last 50, 70 years to restore the St. Lawrence. Um because it was like just fished to shit and absolutely obliterated by, industrial everything.
Yeah.
And so like that's been a lot of that has been like seals have come back, beluga whales have come
Yeah.
back. There's been a lot of restoration that's gone into it. So
Did you
I
know that Canada is home to one of only two freshwater seal populations in the world, and the other one's in Russia?
I think I did know that.
Okay.
So just geographically, these fucking trade wars make no goddamn sense. Like it
Not
makes
even a little bit.
no, and it's not good for Canada either, right? Like, I'm not here to tell everybody we don't need the United States. We shouldn't trade with the United States at all. Fuck the United States. I don't ascribe to that. I think that would be incredibly stupid. I think it would be incredibly dumb for Canada to never trade with the United States ever again. That would be absolutely absurd. So anybody saying that doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Um,
Well, look, you should think of the United States a lot like you think of 1930s Germany, right? Should you be trading with the United States? No. Should you be trading with the United States in 30 years? Yeah, probably, because the United States probably isn't going to be a shithole like it is right now in 30 years. There's probably going to be
hopefully.
someone who's not a fucking senile child predator in charge in 30 years.
Oh yeah, on the plus side, there's a really good chance that at least the United States, once Donald Trump is gone, will be slightly better. Right? Like the result is going to be, at least to a degree, they'll be in at least a better position. Now, will that position be enough? I don't think it'll be enough to get Kuzma back functioning as it's supposed to. Maybe, because keep in mind, Biden didn't fix the trade shit that was going on during Trump's first term. That's still that was there. That stayed. That didn't go away.
Yeah. Well, I think.
So
I'm sorry. So I think one thing is that I think something that a lot of Americans don't realize is that it's not just going to be a thing that when Trump is gone, everything is going to get fixed. Because one of the messages that the Trump presidency, especially the second term, but it was also true to a lesser degree in the first term, one thing that presidency has reminded everyone of is the fact that, hey, um, the United States doesn't actually have a mechanism to keep the president from just going back on any agreement that any previous president has ever made with anyone at any point,
yeah.
which means that any agreement with the United States
Hmm.
is subject to just complete reversal the moment a president who just kind of doesn't like it gets into office.
Hmm.
And that could happen at any point. There is nothing stopping there's nothing besides the American voter, and we've seen how reliable that is, stopping the next president from, sorry, say the president after the next one, from tearing up every single agreement that was made with a presumably less senile and more sane president after Donald Trump. And that's assuming that,
Yeah.
like, you know, the actual formal aspect of the United States government even remains in place, because the actual use of the Constitution as a governing document has gone away recently. So, like, I don't know why we were expecting that the office of president is even going to be filled in name.
Yeah.
I mean, let's remember, Trump isn't actually the president because he's not allowed to be the president. It's illegal for him to be the president. There is no president of the United States right now. That's what the Constitution says. Because the
Right.
Constitution says that you're not allowed to be president if you've committed an act of insurrection against the United States, which everyone watched Trump do on live TV.
Yep.
Like, millions, tens of millions of people watched Donald Trump commit an act of insurrection against the United States, thereby disqualifying him not from the presidency, but from any elected federal office, unless he
Mhm.
gets special permission from Congress to be elected to a federal office. And yet,
Here we are.
here we are. So, like, when people are like, oh, it's the Constitution, that's what's going to protect American democracy, the Constitution has been tossed in the garbage pail. The
What
only parts of the
Constitution?
Constitution that are being followed right now are the parts the federal government feels like it's politically expedient to follow.
For now.
Right, that's it. That's the whole politically expedient part, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have faith that the office of the presidency is even going to survive all that long as a named title. It's effectively vacant right now. No, it is legally vacant right now, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure. Jason did point out that Canada owns rail lines all the way to into Mexico. So there's also that. But yeah, we need to be better at trading amongst ourselves, left and right, or west to north to west to east in Canada.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. It's gonna take time, but we'll get there.
And I hope that the push to drop internal trade barriers in Canada, it gets to the point where the level of internal trade barriers are the same in Canada between provinces as they are between states in the United States, which is to say, there just is none, right? Like, you can just take whatever goods you want across state borders unless it's illegal in one of those states. And there's no, like,
Yeah.
you're not paying like a tariff in one of those states. There's not going to be like, oh, you can't sell peaches from Georgia in this state.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we have in Canada that's kind of crazy and needs to be fixed. And we'll get there. It's gonna, I think the trade deals falling through with the United States is gonna expedite that. Because now we have a bunch of shit that's not going anywhere, that all these provinces want to sell, and all the provinces want to buy, that normally would buy from the United States, because it's more convenient to buy from Washington if you're in British Columbia than it is to buy from Ontario.
Right, which makes sense.
But now it's not anymore, so
No.
guess we better do something about that shit.
That actually reminds me of something. So the other day, I was talking about, like, for some reason, like, so I called my brother, mostly because I thought it was a different day than it was, and I was giving him a happy birthday call, but it turns out I was early because I forgot what day it was. But that's not the important part. The important part is that somehow we ended up talking about Canada, and he was like, I don't know, Canada has its own problems too. I'm like, yeah, but they're not fascism.
It's true. Not yet.
Like, no place is perfect, but, like, if you're gonna say, like, oh, what country has the worst problems, like, U.S. or Canada, it's not Canada right now.
Canada's not at the top of that list. Canada is, like, between, so, like, if you look at the happiness index, Canada doesn't usually top any of those lists. They're usually, though, in the top 5 or top 10 of each of the categories.
Yeah. And it's just like, things are relative, man. Like,
yeah,
no place is bereft of problems, but some places the problem isn't that there's a fascist pedo in charge of the country. Some countries don't have that.
In Canada, Trump could not survive an election cycle. Like, not even one. He would never be able to, I don't even know, I'm not even convinced he'd be able to win, like, a party election, except for, like, if he made his own. You know what, like, I don't think he could become the, like, as much as Pierre Poilievre is sort of like a little mini version of Donald Trump, he, like, copies that authoritarian populism playbook type of speech and type of talking points. he's
Right.
not there's a reason he's a lightened up version, and it's because Donald Trump is an insane crazy man. And is
Sure
not
is.
does not belong in politics at all.
Correct.
So I don't know about that, but I'm kind of hoping. I don't know how much pressure. I should put it this way. How much pressure do you think this negotiation is going to put on the midterms, if any at all?
It,
It's not an easy question, I know.
so one of the problems is that like the American voting public is phenomenally ill-informed.
Yes.
It is hard to understate the level of information that the average American voter is working on.
Yeah.
So I think what will actually happen is less that the negotiations per se will have an effect on the American electorate, and more that the
Mm-hmm.
prices will. Because if there's one thing
So,
that's
like, you mean like it's not direct? It's like that indirect
right,
second step.
because
Yeah,
one
second
of the
phase.
things that has been extremely consistent about American voters is
Yeah.
that they blame the current administration for any and all um, like economic woes starting the minute they take office.
Right.
There's no grace period. There's no like, oh, well, I'm fixing the previous guy's mistake. Even though those things are sometimes true, for the
Yeah.
American voter, it's all bullshit. You're in charge. You have the ball. It's your economy. If it's bad for me, then I don't like you, and I will probably vote you out if I can.
Wow.
So I think because one of the things is like one of the reasons that a large portion of the people who voted Trump in 2026, right? Or no, what was 2024? Sorry, numbers. Anyway, one of the biggest concerns that a lot of those people had was the economy. They were worried about the price of living because,
Yeah.
regardless of
Valid.
what you think of Joe Biden, the Biden economy kind of was shit. It wasn't as bad as it is right now, but it was kind of shit. And to a large extent, having him and then later Harris come out and say, "Oh, what are you talking about? The economy's great." That's one of the big reasons that no one voted for them, because it wasn't great. It was great if you were a stock trader, but guess what? Most of the people who are your voting bloc aren't.
By the numbers, it was improving. Yeah, but people weren't feeling that at home, and there's a difference. This is the problem of the facts don't care about your feelings. Sometimes the feelings are the facts. Because guess what? If you're not feeling the bounce in the economy at your grocery store locally, you're gonna think that nobody's doing anything, even if they are, and even if they are, whatever it's doing isn't affecting you, and it needs to be,
Yep,
right?
correct. And so, yeah, I
Like,
think that the prices, right? Because food's going to be more expensive. Almost anything made of metal is going to be expensive. Things that are produced with a supply chain that involves aluminum parts that wear out, which is essentially everything,
yeah,
are going to get more expensive. Things made of steel are going to get more expensive. That
yeah,
includes just like your replacement razor heads, which
yep.
are already absurdly expensive. Do you want to go to the store and pay like $40 for like a dozen razors? Because you might have to.
Oh, don't worry. Trump's gonna start printing money. That'll fix the problem.
Yeah, that won't fix the problem. That'll make it worse.
They're just gonna change that $40 to 400.
So here's one thing: inflation is a regressive income tax, right? Because the people who are the best able to insulate themselves against inflation are the people who have most of their wealth in assets that are not just dollars in a bank account, right? So they have things
Right.
like stocks or
Yeah.
land, things whose price can go up or down with the economy. The
Right.
people who are the most affected by inflation are the people who have most of their wealth in just fiat currency, right? Like
Or people that
US
are living paycheck to
dollars.
paycheck. Yeah.
Right. Well, that would include those people because even when
Yeah.
they get the paycheck, technically that's an amount of wealth, but it's in the actual currency.
Yeah.
Which means if you hyperinflate that currency, well, guess what? Those are the people whom you're hurting. You're not hurting
Yeah.
Elon Musk, right? Like he does not care what the value of the dollar is,
Right.
because whatever the value of the dollar is, his assets will just change their value to match whatever that dollar value
Right.
is.
Yeah. Exactly. I
So,
wanted to show
in,
you this because it might make you
go
feel
ahead.
better. Breaking, Canadian municipalities across the country have unanimously agreed to rename their waste treatment ponds after the US president. Officials say the decision follows Donald Trump's recent efforts to rename Lake Ontario. Canada will now have over 1,300 Donald Trump sewage lagoons.
I approve.
I hope it's
This is a
real. That's hilarious. I just thought it might
I'm
make you
Dapper
feel
Dinosaur, and this is my favorite sewage lagoon on the Citadel.
better. The thing about all of this is like at the end of the day, this all fucking sucks. Like it's again,
Yeah.
it's gonna suck for Canada too. It's just that Canada's in a better position to be able to mitigate it, and we have a government in place right now that knows that seems to know what they're doing and seems to care
Sounds
in a
nice.
way, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It sounds nice.
So like I'm not out here to say that like the current prime minister and his cabinet are all like altruistic angels here to save the day.
No, but they don't.
But they don't need they don't need to be. They don't need to be perfect. You don't have to agree with every single policy. There are reasons to be critical, and I'm not saying people shouldn't even be critical. There are some things that I've had to like check myself on where I'm getting irritated at somebody for being critical about something that I'm like, okay, yeah, but you're taking the worst possible interpretation of this and then you're extrapolating on it. And I'm like, well, no, that's still a good thing to do. Like, still say that. Because it is still a problem if that does happen, so this is still reasonable. Like, they're not being out of pocket.
Right.
And it's like, because it can be frustrating because I just want to get shit done. You know what I mean? I'm like, I just want shit to get done, man, sometimes. I feel kind of bad for the
more
Americans.
cider.
Yeah, go get more cider.
You probably should, because one thing is, like, Trump voters can't say I didn't vote for this.
You're right.
But most Americans can, because most Americans didn't vote for Trump. Most Americans either voted for someone else or they didn't vote. And I refuse to accept the premise that anyone who didn't vote for, like, Harris voted for Trump. That's bullshit. And I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough. Like, that's a whole topic on its own that I think we've talked about before. We probably don't have to touch on. I'm gonna read the super chats. Super chats from Orange Dot. Thanks for having the show while shorthanded. Yeah, no problem. It's okay. Things happen and life happens, and I don't want these shows to stress people out. You know what I mean? We'll probably try to get more positive as we get through this, because I think at the end of the day, there's probably a positive at the end of the shitstorm. You know what I mean? A silver lining, as it were. And Orange Dot for 2 said, Debate Hub emojis. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciated. I want my beef to go back to $6 to $7 as it was last year. I'm sick of it being 9 to 12. I get that. I think that's the wrong way to think about it. I think, in my opinion, what I think you need to change, I think the mindset needs to change to that you should be able to afford 9 to 12. The price isn't going to come back down, but your wage should go up, so that way beef being $9 to $12 is as affordable as it was, or even more affordable as it was when it was $6 to $7. I think that adjustment in like just the overall mind of the collective mind of Americans will probably help figure out, because it's really hard to drive prices down in a way that's not going to wreck your industries. It is easier to inflate everybody's wages while putting stopgaps in to make sure that those things don't get gouged, mostly by creating social security nets, adjustments for minimum wage, or in some cases eliminating minimum wage, depends on what direction you decide to take on that. Unions are a great way to deal with this, the collective bargaining power, and what's the other one? Taxing billionaires, like putting in like stopgaps for taxing and like scaling. So like on the high end or on the low end of like some of the higher tax brackets, in Canada, one of them is like 33%, but that's after you're making it like $100 million or like $200 million. So you get your $200 million, and then anything after that you get taxed at 33%. And until you hit the next bracket. You did get a new job and now you can afford food. Good. Fantastic. Good for you. I know you were having a rough time there for a little while, but good.
I'm back.
What's the minimum wage in the United States / Canada? Okay, so that depends on where you go.
Yeah.
Canada has the different provinces, and it'll be a different amount in the different provinces. And the United States has different things based on
So there's two versions of
states.
the minimum wage in the United States, right? There
Yeah.
is a federal minimum wage, which is, I believe, it's still like $7 an hour, right? But virtually every state has a higher minimum wage, and the minimum wage is the higher of the two. So
Yeah.
you look at the federal minimum wage and you look at your state minimum wage, and whichever one is higher, that's the actual minimum wage where you are.
So you can see on the map, there's states with higher minimum wage and states with lower. So you can see, like, Washington is at $17.13 per hour. Nevada is at $12 per hour. Wyoming is at $5.15 per hour.
Jeez.
Texas is at $7.25. Pennsylvania is at $7.25. New York is at $17. It's kind of crazy that some of these states are literally, like, side by side. Like, that's nuts to me. And so you can look at it that way. If you want, I can pull up Canada as well.
Nice pipes.
Thanks.
Chess out here laying pipe on stream.
I know. Verify I am a human. I am human. Okay, so this is, like, Canada's a little bit easier. Yukon is 18, Northwest Territories is 16.95, Nunavut is 19.75, British Columbia is 18.25, Alberta is $15.
Wait, did you say 95?
1975.
Okay, I thought I heard 95. I was like, there's absolutely no way that there's any place in Canada where the minimum wage is $95.
Yeah. Alberta is the lowest at 15. The highest is Nunavut at 1975. Ontario's at 1760. So this is in Canadian dollars, right? So it's going to be lower than the American dollar, right?
In the US, really.
Yeah, well, yes, and but the cost of living here is different, right? So the British Columbia actually does pretty good for itself, and Alberta is a little bit lower because Alberta doesn't, like, there's a whole extra tax that Alberta just doesn't have because they're like, we make enough money off of all our oil, so we just don't pay that tax. We don't charge that tax in this province. And then Nunavut, it seems really high until you realize that it costs like $10 for a bag of milk because you live in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. So
yeah, like, Alaska and Hawaii also have that problem in the US.
Our minimum wage has also been set to increase, but particularly in Ontario, our minimum wage, there was a federal thing that went out and then also provincial ones that went out, that minimum wage is supposed to be going up by X amount of dollars over the course of, like, the next 5 to 10 years, like 5 or 7 years or something like that. And we're coming up near the end of that, so to help it catch up. So it's doing that, and the industry is that we got coming in for, like, investment, which is part of this trade negotiation stuff, like, our housing prices are being stabilized and they're being driven down. And part of the reason that's driving them down a little bit is because our renting has been driven down because of 2 other federal laws that went through about whether or not if you're a foreign entity and you own property, you have to live in it, or you can only own, like, one. You're not allowed to just scoop up shitloads of fucking property. And you're not allowed to leave
residential properties,
not
commercial or industrial properties.
Yeah. Yes, like apartment buildings or anything like that. I feel
like foreign firms should be able to buy more than one factory plot. That seems a little
no, it's not factory. Yeah. Okay. Residential properties. And they're not allowed to leave them vacant. So if they buy an apartment building, they have to be renting it out, or they have to have, like, a plan or whatever they're planning on doing it.
Right. I assume there's some kind of, like, leeway for, like, oh, you just built a new apartment, you don't have to have it filled that day that it's finished.
Right. And then the other one that was a really big change was the way what's it called? When you it's like sort of like a mini rental for a short period of time.
Like a hotel?
Yeah, but, like, usually somebody does it in their house or, like, the monkey.
Oh, like an Airbnb or something.
An Airbnb, yeah, thank you. That's exactly what it was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Airbnbs. There was a rule that Airbnbs, particularly in Ontario, had to meet certain requirements, and you couldn't have an Airbnb in a secondary residency. So, like, if you had a house and you wanted to treat that house as an Airbnb, You had to be living in it. It couldn't be a secondary place that you bought because then people were buying up extra properties and just treating them as Airbnbs instead of proper rental properties. And it was a fucking shit show, and it fucked. It totally rolled our entire fucking system for the housing market, and it was a big deal up here. So they've mostly fixed that, and that has trickled its way down for the most part. And then there's like a handful of like, okay, now we're doing a bunch of building as well, so we're gonna increase the supply. But the houses, like even just around where I'm at, the housing prices have become a little bit more reasonable, and the rate at which they're selling, they're not getting scooped up instantaneously anymore. They're not getting like bought out by like a company and yada yada yada. So it's interesting. But there are ways to get out of these situations, is basically what I'm trying to get at, right? Like, the United States can get out of this, like, financial crisis and housing hole. It's just gonna take the right people at the right time to who know what they're doing. And Donald Trump
I'm not convinced that it will take the right people at the right time, because I think that, to some extent, the system is actually designed to give these results, and that you will need a new system.
You mean the system is giving the results that the United States is currently getting?
Right, like it is designed for the current results. Like the current results that we're getting, where like everything is largely unaffordable, and you are working for wages that would
slave wages. Yeah.
Well, technically any wage can be a slave wage, because slavery isn't about getting paid. But yeah,
slave wages is basically like an amount on the dollar for living expenses. Yeah.
The reason I say that is because there have been some extremely well-paid slaves, and that didn't make them not slaves.
Oh yeah, valid. No, true. We won't get an argument for me.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of being like, oh, slavery means you didn't get paid. No, there were very well-paid slaves in history. It's the consent part, right?
Yeah.
The difference between a job and slavery is the same as between having sex and rape.
Yeah. I would like to point out, by the way, the thing we looked at was the minimum wage in those areas, not the median wage in those areas. The median wage is those areas, and then if you look at like the median cost of like an apartment in those places is really what's going to give you like a good idea of whether how affordable a place is based off of the minimum wage, right? Because the idea is that minimum wage shouldn't be the majority of your working class. Right. So, no, Orange Dot, I read your super chats out. There's nothing wrong with them, not that I saw anyway. Okay, so the how much I think that there's been a couple of things that have happened in the United States relating to the minimum wage and relating to like commerce during the Biden administration that I thought was going to change minimum wage up here, and it seems to have actually been the opposite of what I was expecting. I was expecting the United States' economic situation, because however you felt about it, the Biden administration was probably the last chance for a long time that I think that America had to turn its economy around.
And it really didn't.
It didn't, because, and even if it stayed on the trajectory it was going on, I don't know how long it would have been able to maintain that momentum. Probably not for terribly long, but regardless, I think it was like probably the last chance if somebody else had come into office besides Donald Trump, and probably somebody besides Kamala Harris as well. But regardless, speculation. I thought the bounce back that America was doing, which was decent, not as good as it could have been, but decent enough that it was going to have a positive effect and force Canada's market to rebalance itself a little bit. Turned out, the opposite is happening, where Canada is bouncing back like fucking crazy. We're rocketing off, and the United States is like, wait, no, don't go. Which is not what I was expecting at all, quite frankly.
Yeah.
How optimistic do you feel about the next 20 years in your country? Chad, I'm asking you guys too as well.
I don't know. Because I think one of the things that has happened is that so
Mhm.
there's long been a sense that the ideas of things like rule of law have been
Mhm.
uh, not
Cast aside a
yeah
little bit.
have been more honored in the breach than have been a real thing. But the last few years, especially, but even the Biden administration really did a number on the idea that the United States can even realistically pretend to have a functioning rule of law.
Mm.
And
Okay, yeah.
the only thing that lets you make realistic predictions about like what the government is going to do is things like what is the like respect for the rule of law, like what things are they allowed and
The
not allowed to do, and
consequences. Yeah,
yeah,
when there's
and
consequences,
actually
yeah.
following through on those things.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But there
Yeah,
just
you're right.
isn't. Like the United States has shown that it has absolutely no ability to hold a politician accountable for like heinous crimes unless that
Yeah.
politician is gay, I guess.
Yeah, and it's been like that for a while.
Yeah. Like look at Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was a notorious
Yeah.
predator of teenage girls. Nothing happened other than that the Republican Party stopped supporting him for like re-election and wasn't comfortable making him like Secretary of Defense or whatever it was that Trump wanted to make him. That's it.
Yeah.
The punishment for being a notorious sex criminal in the Republican Party, if you're straight, is like at worst, you have to go get a different job. At
Right.
worst. And if you openly call for a rebellion and then avoid trying to stop the rebellion in the country you're supposed to be in charge of, the reward is you just get your job back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, you get immunity from that crime in the first place.
There's long and short of it is you're not terribly optimistic. Things are going to get worse before they're going to get better, and you're not looking at
But that's
better
the thing
is
is, I
not going to
also
happen
don't know
within
that,
less
right?
20 years.
I don't know that either
Next
because
20 years.
another thing is
Mm-hmm.
that what kept the at least illusion that the rule of law mattered in the United States going was people following norms, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it could be that the next guy decides to follow those norms,
Sure.
at which point things will get a bit better. But
Mm.
what if the next guy, because it's now very obvious that there's nothing that actually makes you
It's a
follow
coin
those
flip.
norms, right? You
Yeah,
can
it's a
just
coin.
not do it. And
Yeah.
the penalties are just like going down in the polls. But as long as you're okay with that, then who cares? And
Right.
so like it's one
Do
of
the
those
polls
situations
mean
where like
enough? Mm.
yeah, it shouldn't. An ideal government would be such that it doesn't matter all that much who's in charge because they're restricted from actually doing too much damage because of the mechanisms in place in the system of government.
To the structure itself, yeah.
Right. And it has become exceedingly clear that the United States is not such a place.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
United States, its constitution was written with the understanding that there would be all these checks and balances, and you hear about it in school. You learn like checks and balances and co-equal branches of the government. But that's not actually what's happening. Like it's very obvious that the executive branch is the government, and that to a large extent, if the executive branch has like whoever the party is that has the president, if they also have the Congress and they have a majority on the Supreme Court, then that's it.
Yeah.
They can do almost anything.
Yeah.
And also, I'd point out that given that presidential immunity is a thing, the only thing keeping the Supreme Court or any courts at all having any power is that it seems like it would be bad politics to just ignore them outright. Like that's it. Like if Trump
Yeah.
decided, you know what, the Supreme Court has made its decision. Now let's see them enforce it. What are you going to do? What's
Yeah.
anyone going to do? Although I will say there is one thing that's happening right now. I don't know if we're supposed to talk about it, but that could show that there is in fact certain lines that you can't push government employees past, and it's that hey, the Navy has been missing payroll lately.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
That
When
is
you
like
don't pay your military,
notoriously,
that's a bad call.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really bad call. That is notorious. Like just historically, if you're not
Mhm.
paying your fucking warriors, they're gonna overthrow you.
I said to the science friends, like, look, there were some times when I came pretty close to just saying, you know what, fuck it, and going AWOL from the Navy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? If they
Mhm.
hadn't paid me,
Oh,
I would have left at the earliest opportunity, and I would have left some bolts inside the main engine turbines just as a parting gift. Which, by the way, in case you don't
yeah,
know, that would incapacitate the ship entirely. It would have to be tugged to port
yeah,
for repairs.
yeah. Military payroll is a historical crimson red flag. Yeah. Um, I do see people suggesting that Trump is not surviving the midterms as like presumably you mean as president, not like continuing to live. Insurrection 2.0
I
coming soon. I'm not convinced that he's not going to win enough of the midterms.
I will say this.
Mm.
My official policy is not that I wish death on the president, and anyone who says that I do is clearly not paying attention to the thing I just said. And I don't know why you would think that I would hope that he would drop dead on live TV from a stroke the next time he's on TV. That's a silly thing for you to think, because I never said that that would be one of the best days of my life and that maybe I have a bottle of champagne on standby for such an occasion.
And
I
he
didn't say that.
definitely, and it shouldn't be in like the most embarrassing position, and it shouldn't be like left on the floor twitching for an amount of time, foaming at the mouth a little bit, or anything that we could watch in slow motion. Um,
You seen that? You
Definitely
seen that
not.
picture of the guy who passed out in the Oval Office, and Trump is just standing there by the desk, staring at the camera while everyone
Yeah,
else is helping?
yeah.
I hope. No, sorry, I don't hope.
You
I've got.
don't.
I look. I've had alcohol, so I don't hope that
Yeah.
that's what happens if he has a stroke on live TV. I hope that everyone rushes to his aid like he would never rush to anyone's aid.
There's active. Travis is asking a clarifying question: as in active duty service members aren't getting paid.
So that is my understanding. I have not
Wow.
done a deep dive into this. Now,
Yeah.
I do want to say
Yeah.
it is not that unusual for there to be. So
Gaps
the payroll
sometimes. That
department of
happens.
the Navy is called dispersing, right? That's just
Yeah.
the name of it. If you have a payroll problem, you go to dispersing. Payroll problems happen, right? It is a thing. Sometimes they miss a paycheck because some clerk somewhere misfiled some piece of paperwork, right? And then
Mm.
usually what you do, you go to
Yeah.
the dispersing office and you say, hey, this came in, and you show them whatever it is, and they'll say, okay, let's check your records. And there's publicly available pay scales for how much anyone should be making for any rank and time in service for the U.S. military, and they get it fixed within usually a couple weeks, right? But my understanding, and this is from having read just some reporting and not having done a deep dive, is that there are active duty military in the Navy are having a spike in payroll problems, and that the Navy is
Right.
missing payroll at an unusual rate.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I was lucky. I never actually had a payroll problem when I was in the Navy. I always got paid the right amount on time. So, like, when I was in, one of the few nice things I can say about the Navy is that for me, they were extremely reliable on payroll. I
Yeah.
do know some people who had some problems here and there, but it usually was pretty minor and it got resolved. But
Yeah.
apparently, that's becoming less the case.
Oh boy, that is not good.
No.
I don't imagine this trade situation is going to make military pay nor it's not going to help the military industrial complex of the United States either, because guess
No.
what? What Canada does, manufacturing and military manufacturing, do some of
Look,
it, and guess where you get some of your stuff for military
here's the thing.
manufacturing. Hi, Landon.
Hey, Landon. So one thing I've heard some people say is like, okay, so what are these sailors going to do? They're out in the middle of the ocean. And the thing is, so there's one big thing. Most of the Navy isn't out on the ocean at any given time. Most sailors are in port, either in their home port or in some other port, right? Most of the time. Usually home port, right? The majority of your time is in home port. for most sailors, for most of the Navy. And also, there's a bunch of jobs in the Navy that aren't ship based anyway, and then you're always in port. Those people are staring at the situation on the ships that are deployed, that are losing power for days at a time, that are running out of food, that are having people attempt suicide at record breaking numbers, right? Because there's always a background suicide rate in the Navy.
Yes.
There just is.
Yeah.
In
We
fact,
talked about
actually,
it last Rum and Coke night.
I was once at the command with the highest suicide rate in the Navy.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. It was naval nuclear power training, by the way. That is, in fact, the highest suicide rate in the Navy. There was, I think there were 2 while I was there. Anyway, that's not terribly important. And those are people who are staring at these things and also watching paychecks get bounced.
Yeah.
And I will say, the military makes going AWOL seem scarier than it is. I know a guy who went AWOL from the Navy. He got a job. He got married. He had a kid. At one point, military police picked him up, and he spent a few months in a federal prison, and then he got out and went right back to his job and his family.
Well, I'm glad that worked out for him, I guess.
It's like, I'm not encouraging people to go AWOL because it is illegal, and it is a problem depending on what job you want. You'll certainly be cut out of any federal government jobs in the future. In fact, I'm not even sure if you can work for contractors for the federal government if you've gone AWOL. But like,
but the rule of law only kind of counts right now anyway. So,
well, yeah, but it's going to count for those people. But the consequences are like,
I know.
Your job prospects shrink a little bit,
yeah.
and you might spend a few months to a few years in prison, but you're going to be fine.
Landon,
you're going to have a life. Hey,
I have a specific question for you about something Dapper said earlier that I'm not sure if you heard.
Okay, can I give an apology at least before I ask you?
If you want, sure. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I apologize that I was not here at pub. This is not an excuse, I'm just stating I was in a situation where I could not get out of it. And it actually had to do with, there were actually references to people like Dapper and Kip Davis and Molecular Idiot Society and other things like that.
Oh, exciting.
I'll just put it at that. So I apologize because I recognized that I was supposed to be elsewhere.
I was just glad nothing happened. We were worried.
Yeah,
I was worried too. But so may I ask what question you had specifically, and also comment on Dapper?
It's related. It's related to this part that he just said. So you can kind of wrap your answer up in all of it. Dapper mentioned earlier about Dapper, what did you say about the United States presidency and the Constitution having a rule inside of it that said that if you did a specific crime, you could not hold
insurrection.
Yeah.
If you are someone who has been an insurrectionist against the United States, without needing that to be an actual crime, because a number of people who then had to seek permission from Congress to get federal office back, like former senators who had been Confederate senators, they weren't convicted of crimes, and yet they still sought permission. It is illegal, or sorry, you are not legally allowed to hold federal elected office if you have committed sedition or an insurrection against the United States of America, which everyone watched Trump do on live TV, which means there is no president.
And I'm pretty sure he was convicted of, right? He got convicted of that, right?
No.
Oh, he didn't? Oh, okay.
No, because the Supreme Court stepped in after inventing presidential immunity.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Landon, sorry. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that.
Well, the 14th Amendment, was historically was written to try and keep those who were involved in the treason of the Confederacy to coming back into office. They were worried essentially that the Confederates and the sympathizers that were outside of the Confederate States could come back in and continue their treason activity. So there was a process by which someone could get back in. So you were barred from life for holding office at any level, but there was a means by which Congress could, on 2/3, essentially excuse you from that thing, right? There were people, and so just because you happen to be an elected official in South Carolina but didn't go along with the treason, you could be essentially pardoned. It was a 14th Amendment pardoning process. The problem, of course, is that as law and constitution, it means what people think it means, right? So the Supreme Court makes statements, and people sometimes go along with what the court says and doesn't. But the Supreme Court can make other statements. So the notion of is Trump, a fall under the 14th Amendment exclusion? And there actually were court cases, I believe in Colorado, where that was brought up. So the Colorado was saying we should bar Trump from nominating electors in the state, and the court said no. And so there's arguments about that, right? I personally believe that Trump was an adjudicated insurrectionist that should not have been allowed to office. Now, some people went further to say when Marjorie Taylor Greene was giving threats against the Speaker of the House, did that constitute a 14th Amendment violation? And that was adjudicated, and a judge there said no. There is that slippery slope of at what point do someone say, if Trump says someone like a senator that he doesn't like is doing things that are treasonous or insurrectionist, then do they all of a sudden get to be barred from life? If you go
Right.
to make anything a 14th Amendment violation, I believe Trump was there. One of the things that I would lay back on McConnell was that even though he got like 62 votes to convict, not to 60, I think it was 62, not 67. McConnell was one of the key people that said we should not convict somebody who's no longer a president, and McConnell did another McNamara, right? He in later in life regretting that he didn't vote to convict. Yep. It's like, you son of a bitch.
Allegedly still alive, Mitch McConnell.
Just like I told McNamara, you understand that when you're dead, I'm going to celebrate that fact.
Yeah. So the other thing you wanted to talk about was the rule of law.
For McCain, because that's illegal. So I will not say that.
So Dapper has opinions about the current state of the faith that Dapper has in, I guess, the rule of law in the United States. And I think you hold a different position, right? I think Dapper made his position
far
clear.
more optimistic than I have ever been.
Maybe similar.
I think so.
I think the effect may be similar. And some people get mad because I don't go full tilt one direction. Like the rule of law,
I don't think any of us on this panel are full tilt in any direction. Like, I don't mean to say that you're saying that. I just don't think that's the vibe here for the most part. For anybody watching.
I agree. I'm talking about other people there. So
sure, yeah.
So I know I actually was talking about this person about the ability to hold different opinions and not make it personal.
Whoa, what? No.
I know it's crazy talk, but that
sounds like nonsense.
Thing, which is why I enjoy being on here. Why I look forward to the four singularity horses.
The panel. Yeah.
So yes, the rule of law is challenged. The Supreme Court has done great damage. I think if I were delivering a State of Union address to Congress, one of the things I would do is I would say that the United States is under significant internal threat. I would then point to the justices down in the front row, because they sit in the front row, and say it is from those people down there, and that while they have the full authority in the Constitution that we sworn an oath to hold them in to be the Supreme Court of the land, they do not deserve our respect. And they don't deserve respect because too many of them fail to even avoid the appearance of conflict of interest.
Yeah, the conflict. Yeah, the blatant corruption.
And they come to a conclusion they want accomplished, and then force their law clerks to rationalize it on the pretense that there's some reason behind it, when in fact they understood that if they were to debate that in society or debate that in illegal circles, they would be demolished, right? They understand, but they're cowards. They hide behind things. And so on the other hand, if you put appointment on the Supreme Court, I would keep a list of things. I would call it the Roberts Rule, and say Roberts Rule that normally you're supposed to say sorry, decisive, that let the decision stand, except the Roberts Court has said this is what we want. We will rationalize it, including eviscerating established law for the effect. And so the Roberts Rule would say, yes, we normally let the decision stand, but because the Roberts Court went out of its way to get a conclusion and didn't care how they got it, we'll say that's a Roberts Rule, Roberts Court thing that can be eviscerated. And in fact, I would sit there and say, when I had a majority of people on the court, I would say, because the court doesn't have to have a case to make a decision. I would come back and say, okay, we've got 5 justices, and here are the decisions that we will eviscerate in full. These things are no longer precedent, and they're gone. And we can even take, and I would as a court justice, if I had the majority doing something stupid like the president's immunity, Citizens United, Bush v. Gore, these things, I would eviscerate their thing in writing and say, and for a future court, here is the rationale you can use, and just say, pound sign include what this person said, and would essentially, I would treat the Roberts Court decision in total, I'm not talking about individuals in court, with such contempt that I would essentially, as first I can, just essentially say, you're gone.
Yeah.
These are gone. No longer, the president's not king, da, 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 da. I would also say things like, because those who are a victim of ICE have not had their Miranda rights read, because they've not had due process, release them all.
Yeah.
In mass. Do the same thing that the court said with the Gideon versus Wainwright. Release. They are now free. And I would then in Congress say, and as part of our we're sorry, trademark Canada, process, we will offer them, if they want, a fast track to citizenship. Because what the MAGA people really do not like are people who might vote. Because they think, because you have the wrong name, the wrong country, the wrong, according to them, right? You're not the right American, you shouldn't be voting. The best revenge for those MAGA people is to give those people, should they choose to accept it, because some people say, screw you, I'm leaving this country.
Valid.
I can understand that too.
Yeah.
And so that's but yes, the Supreme Court holds the authority as the highest court in the land, but they do not deserve, as an organization, any of your respect. And understand this is very important, because the court does not have police. The court does not have a military. The court's authority is based upon the respect. And in my mind, Roberts, Thomas, Alito, Gordon, those people, those folks do not deserve respect. They do not deserve the intellectual honesty, and that they deserve their decision. It would just stack them up and say, we've got 5-4, you're gone, Robert's Rule's done, we're returning back to, undo the reversal of the decision on abortion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It sounds to me like you're saying that there are still structures in the United States that can be utilized to patch and or fix or undo damage that has been done to the structure of the United States.
Because here's where I got to get in trouble and might get the ire of some people. I believe that there's nothing wrong with the United States that what is right with the United States can't ultimately fix. I'm not happy with the rate that's going to happen. Or the degree that'll happen, but I believe there are ways to fix things.
I think there's always going to be ways to fix things. It's just whether or not I have a bit of a different take. I think it's because I'm not from the United States. My take is that to me, looking at the structure of the United States as a democracy, is so like duct taped together and held with like shoelaces and gum that there are parts of it that probably just need to be like picked apart and replaced with like proper
and
structures.
improved, fixed, bug fixed,
But
or
it doesn't
eliminated,
necessarily
right?
need to all be torn down all at once, and
No.
that's not necessarily the best. It might end up being what happens, but it might not necessarily be the best option. I don't know. I don't know what
think
the
so. This
best
is
counts
not just
as
an
at this point.
American problem, right? This is not an
Oh
American
no,
problem.
of course
This is,
not.
I state, even though I really, enjoy the country, that probably the most corrupt first world country by far is Australia.
Okay.
I also say, do not forget the horrors that were Harper, right? And the fact that Canada.
I don't know if Harper is comparable to Donald. I think Harper was our Donald Trump, but I really don't think the concentration camps are going to be like a really good angle there, Landon.
although I would say Harper appeasing the essentially the abuse, the schools and abuses that
he didn't handle that very well at all. He didn't do that good at all. He's also done a really bad thing when it comes to like deleting data. So like deleting like weather data and selling out like corporate nonsense into things. But I think I don't think these things are comparable right now.
No, and it's hard to say. It's hard to compare Joe of Queensland to Trump, to Harper, to Boris Johnson,
it's important to like not forget when your country fucks something up. Like don't pretend that your country hasn't fucked shit up and then accidentally fall into the same hole America is currently falling into.
If I were in a leadership debate with PP, I would say, you were a proud minister under Harper. You enjoy his concepts and ideas and promote them. Therefore, you are unacceptable to be in any office ever again.
Yeah, I think he's probably. I don't know how much longer he's gonna last, but we're talking about the main thing we're kind of focusing on today a little bit is the trade negotiation falling through. So before you start, first question: have you seen Mark Carney's statement, like the one he made right when he came out? Okay. Yeah. All right. Now I just wanted that for context. What are your thoughts?
So the problems we're facing are narcissistic tendencies of Trump.
Sure.
Enablers that say we can use Trump as a useful idiot to get what we want. Mm-hmm. It comes at a cost, but we'll do it anyway. So the enablers, right? Those who know better, like JD, who know better, and are letting Trump do.
Greer seems to be in that category right now.
Gear what they want out of it. Mm-hmm. Those that suffer from, let's say, the Project 2025 sort of thing, those folks say, we'll just put up with what Trump does because we're getting these other things. Right? Trump can't do it, but we'll get it. That's the thing. And so this trade thing is one of those items, right? Now, in the circles, there are the gentlemen of Putin who see alignment with totalitarians like Putin as being better than the democracy that the United States has. And so they don't mind the U.S. disrespecting our allies. There's also this group, the America only people that want to remove all and foreign entanglements. So they would like to see NATO destroyed. They like to see NORAD destroyed. They like to see NAFTA destroyed. Well, it was, but they want these things done. And why? Because like the people in Reform UK and Nigel who just said we want to get out of Brexit, blah blah blah. We're going to get rid of these people because they say, if the United States only has to pay attention to the United States and doesn't give a damn about anything else other than the United States, then we can corrupt the United States as oligarchs and win. But when we have to have treaties, when you have to pay attention to somebody else that's not us, no, right? And so the cowards that are Project 2025, Heritage the Heritage Foundation, those that suffer from the political disease known as libertarianism. And sorry, if you're a libertarian, your philosophy, in my opinion, sucks. Because they want to get rid of these informal entanglements, and Canada is a very entangled entity in the United States.
Oh yeah, and Russia doesn't like us.
And no, it's now certainly Russian stooges see breaking apart U.S. alliances as for them, but the post that says we can essentially do things that are again international law or international norms by disrespecting everyone else and we can say and we can play to these America first, right? Make America great is people saying this American centralism, America number one, everyone else sucks. They can play to that thing. And how do they do that? But they use the state media known as Fox News to say, look at what Canada had this percent tariff on dairy, blah blah blah. So therefore Canadians are bad, and therefore Trump is good, and therefore we should da 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 da. And they don't know because or they don't care about what's happening to them, right? And so when you tell them, MAGA person, I'm tired of the tax and spend Republicans who use tariffs and convince us that it is in our best interest to tariff stuff, right? I could see on the other hand the notion of once Trump and his ilk get kicked out of power, the act of repair. However, the United States can't simply say, "Oh, we're sorry." No, the United States is going to have to have a continued pattern of reasonable behavior before someone would trust it. I would not recommend anyone negotiating with Trump on tariffs because even if he agrees with it, he'll change his mind yet again. This is at least the third time that he's rewritten policy. So because you'd say to a MAGA person, hey, Trump eviscerated NAFTA, put it in his own thing, and then eviscerated it again and put another thing in, and now he's eviscerating it again. And
I'm not personally ever gonna get over that Donald Trump, the great negotiator that America picked, got outplayed by the drama teacher, Prime Minister Centerfold.
So if I were incoming president,
so funny, dude.
One of my presidential decrees, because I've already could do that, is to say that what was known as Gulf America now must be Gulf of Mexico, but in Spanish.
Oh, that's fun.
Term.
So you're taking
it is in Spanish.
I don't know either.
Something de Mexico.
Yeah. And I would say, and as apology to Canada, even though it's there, even though that's the sort of their thing, I would rename Lake Michigan to be the Algonquin name.
Ooh, that'd be a good one. I think that there's
stuff.
There's a handful of things that are a little bit problematic from, I like that idea. I think that'd be great for America to work that direction. I'm not convinced it's going to happen in the newest presidency. Most of the forerunners of the Democratic Party right now that look like they're going to be the people that are going to be part of the DNC attempt to be the Democratic leader. So Gavin Newsom comes to mind. When asked, he came to CBC to be interviewed about the trade negotiations to talk to Canadians. And when a Canadian journalist asked him, hey, are you looking, if you win the presidency or the Democratic Party wins the presidency, are we going to return to a tariff-free trade? Before she even finished the question, he said no. And that historically, Biden didn't fix that shit after Trump version 1 either.
and Canada and the United States has not had a tariff-free trade. The trade negotiations was a political decision on who gets to screw who's part of the other side, right? And that's always a part of negotiations. So Canada on those things asked for stuff we didn't want, and we asked things that Canada didn't want. That's back and forth, and the result is we have tariffs, right? There's never been
there is no free trade agreement with zero tariffs. Yeah, that won't really exist.
The trade agreement wasn't free trade. It was Orwellian speak for we have agreed to screw this industry on that side because they've agreed to screw this thing on that side, and we don't like them. And
I think that's a really like cynical way to describe it, but I don't think you're wrong.
But understand, United countries don't have friends; they have current partners, temporary partners, until things change.
I mean, ultimately, yes, but there's something called good faith, right? And there is the individuals and the culture, and those cultures matter. So, like, there's a lot of Canadians that are friends with Americans, and a lot of Americans that are friends with Canadians or family with said individuals. And so that does play
friends with Americans.
I know, right? Disgusting. But that does play a role in how the populace feels about another country, right? So if the populace is like, we don't want to screw over our neighbor, then a negotiation that looks like it's doing that too much is going to be unpopular to the people, which is a political balance, right?
Bad behavior breeds ill will, and people respond to that. So during the Vietnam War, Canada was harboring what people said were draft dodgers. But draft dodgers that escaped to Canada went there and said, we're going to behave like Americans rather than Canadians. And there's a big resentment. And in NBC, you saw
petty.
A similar level of, these radishes come from Canada, don't buy these peaches, they're American, right? And you saw that behavioral response that Canadians had, as you said, the cultural meme of being petty about being pissed off at people coming across the border, being given asylum, but behaving like they're still
being assholes. Don't be an asshole.
Yes. And so, but if you go back and look at the history of the United States and the entity north of the United States, sometimes it was Canada, sometimes it was Britain, sometimes it was France, the history back and forth, there's a lot of crap that's happened.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I went through Peace Arch just yesterday and saw the canon stuff. It's sort of like, well, it's sort of like a
may these gates never be closed.
But on the other hand, even the Canadians aren't unaware of the history of misbehavior on that border. I think as president, I would negotiate with a treaty, but recognizing that we're going to have disagreements, right? But that's okay.
That's how negotiation works. Yeah, that's just part of it.
And you can come to a conclusion. So tariffs, no, there's no free trade zone tariff stuff. It's always
what I mean is not like whether or not there's literally going to be free trade. The question wasn't about the literal what's going on. The question was about will the tariffs that currently exist be gone? Will they go away? And the answer is instantaneously no. What I'm getting at is that the Canadians don't have any of the faith at all in dealing with the United States right now.
And
there's nothing that the Americans are really presenting to us that would change our minds.
That happened if you look at the details of the current tariffs, is that those that enable the man-child as Trump have put certain tariff triggers off until January 2027.
Oh, you mean like natural gas?
Because that will be something post-election, where if you don't like the election, you can say, well, see, this you gave this party control of this branch of Congress, and now look, your gas is high, right? Those are things where they could burn the economy and worse, blame it on a party that has control of chairmanships of a certain house of Congress, and they see, look what they did, right? And so there's a bunch of fake stuff with that thing happening that you won't get. That being said, I don't think the nominee for the Democratic Party will do what you and I want to do perfectly. It may be that we have to come back and say, given the choice between Harris and Trump, I believe most electors picked the wrong choice. I think that it's that bad. I even so point to say that even
Mm.
even Hillary Clinton and her flaws would have been an improvement, a different problem, but different improvement over Trump.
Oh, you mean her flaws about she's a woman?
No,
No, for me, her flaws are her absurd level of warmongering.
Sorry,
There's
I
not a
was
country in the
making a
world that
joke
Hillary
about
Clinton.
the
Yeah, no,
American
it's true.
voters. Yeah.
So
It is
I think
true that that's a thing, but like
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton was also one of the most
Bad.
bloodthirsty politicians that has been around in America.
sure.
Like she was on like
Outwardly,
Republican levels of warmongering.
Weird.
So I get that. I get that. But the point is that the nominee, you may have to make a pragmatic choice, because if you said Gavin Newsom or JD, I could not pick JD, because the problem with JD is that it's worse than Trump. He knows better. He's doing it anyway.
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have the same problem that you had the last election. You're going to have a whole ton of people that are not going to vote out of protest, of being like,
Yeah.
you can't give us these options. These options are not feasible. Fuck you
Sure.
forever.
You'll degrade the election, so the point where people say pox on both of the houses, I'm staying home.
Mhm.
You will show how the person on the other side is not a true believer in their catechisms of their political stuff, and only the radical and I vote anyway people will turn up, and you have a more than 50-50 chance of
You're coin flipping. Yeah, you're leaving a coin flip. But I think that there's like a part of the issue with that is that the Democratic Party is not doing a good job of representing anybody at that
Yeah.
point. And
Yeah.
that's a
And
big
yes.
problem, and that needs to get fixed. Like, the cause gotta get fixed, guys. You can't just be like, oh,
And
that's
to
just
be
the way it
fair-
is. You better vote for them anyway. Like,
To be fair to Canada, the Conservative Party got their ass handed to them when they didn't even have enough members in the party on Parliament to be able to get photocopy printed. You have to have 5 members
yeah, they got
for a
bonked.
political party to be able to like use the photocopier and have a party office, right? And Conservatives didn't have that; they had 2, right? The Canadians essentially handed them, and so you have the current Conservatives are we're the better people.
Well,
right?
we'll put it this way: when Harper was booted out of office and the Conservatives got their asses fucking beat after nearly 10 years, if not, I think it was at least 10 years of Harper. I believe he was in office for 10. It might have been 9 and a bit. After that, we have had a liberal government for the last 12 years. And then just as the Conservatives were clawing their way back in, they just got fucking smacked down in the face, and they're still losing. They are on a downward spiral right now.
Because these populists see Trump as being an enabler for the populism. The populism is hey person, look, these bad people. These are bad people. Don't you agree they're bad people? And they say, yeah, that person gets me. I'm going to vote for that person. And they never actually come up with, okay, we're going to fix these bad people. They just point at
But
it.
here's what I think Americans need to get. I need to get across to Americans who are watching about this voting situation, about their problem with the Democratic Party, and that the Democratic Party isn't representing them. We had an incredibly unpopular leader. Justin Trudeau was incredibly unpopular, right? Whether or not you think he did a good job, irrelevant. The point is that he was unpopular. He stepped down, and we put a new guy in there, and the polls reversed.
Yes.
So what do you think the Democratic Party ought to do?
Yes, and I think there's people within the party who are pushing for a different direction, and it's too simplistic to say establishment versus progressives, or whether those are
Yeah, that's a little bit too. Yeah, that's a little bit too.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's there. I'm still I was not happy to see Justin Trudeau come in, because I was not a fan of Pierre Trudeau, and Pierre Trudeau.
Well, that's a little bit biased, don't you think?
But Justin was saying he was
Genetic
camping on I'm my
fallacy.
father's son. I learned from my father. It's like, yeah, and your father as prime minister did things.
Yeah, but
consider
learn from your father doesn't mean you're gonna take on all the bad things.
I understand that. You're right.
Politics.
So I don't like the dynasty stuff. Just like
Sure.
I didn't like Bush Jr.
Yeah.
becoming president.
Yeah. I get you. Valid.
It's too much worldly. So yes, the Democratic Party has a problem that I don't think they're going to have people coming forward who
Yeah.
are going to satisfy
It's too much
everyone.
legacy.
And I fear someone sits there and says, "Oh, this is a nominee. Well, screw that. I'm going to stay home." And you've got JD or Rubio as president.
I just want to point out that the new guy that we got in to take over the position for the very unpopular guy was an outsider.
Yes.
So there was no
And so
legacy, and his and like the work that he done, his resume is on point.
Yeah. So so the right person, the right and the right time would be what you'd say. I think historians will say this was a prime minister that Canada needed.
Oh yeah.
Specifically for this sort of thing. And
yes.
And now, will they say that in 2 election cycles or 10 years, whatever it is from now?
Probably.
TBD, right? The way that Canadian politics rolls, the Labour will continue to make gaffe after gaffe. They will continue to have scandals. They'll get rid of PP and pick someone who appears to be, quote, moderate.
I think something a little bit different might happen because of how desperate Pierre Poilievre is. Desperate this man is to hold on to any kind of power. I think he's going to split the party.
Well, that would be nice.
It would be so nice. Can I have nice things? Can I please have one nice thing? I would be so happy if he split that coalition.
So the writing was just over there. Had somebody who was at a council thing in Vancouver coming to become the person because the incumbent was not running, and PP came and said, no, I don't like you, I want this person, and shoved this person in instead. Right? It was the party things shoving it in, and while that PP pointy won, it was kind of like Nigel, where you won, but not by much. So I the thing is, I think that Canada has a lot of things going for it well within their system.
Yeah, we do.
The thing
We're on the ball right now.
Is that Canada continues to presidentialize the prime minister. By that meaning that Canadians look to the prime minister like they're a U.S. president.
I'm worried about that too. I think I'm not sure if this is going to be on the journalists. I think they might be helping a little bit, but I don't know how much of this is going to be on them to do, like how much responsibility they hold. I think they do hold some. But I think our current prime minister is doing a decent job spreading out. Like, he's taking responsibility, but is doing a good job spreading out, being like, yes, I gave the Davos speech. Yes, I'm the one taking responsibility for this big thing, but it's this person and this person and that person and this person that is doing this, and this. And our premiers are doing a very, very good job showing themselves to help counterbalance that presidentializing of the...
And I hope that continues to be the case. And
I hope so too.
That when the electoral group would do polling in Canada, because Canada was a test set for testing polling methodologies, I remember one of the things we found was that a very large majority of Canadian voters who are trying to qualify, are you a voter and do you intend to vote, could not tell you who they voted for in the election. They couldn't even tell you who won. They could tell you what they thought of the party leader of the vote they cast for, but not.
Yeah, so because it's strategic voting in Canada. The way strategic voting works is that you're voting, if you're doing that part, it's not good. It needs the structure needs to be changed. It's one of the things that Justin Trudeau ran on, and then he made an effort and was unsuccessful. Now, whether or not you think that effort was good enough or he should have tried more, but COVID happened, and the trade deal and then Donald Trump happened, then COVID happened. So how much you want to give him a break on that, I don't know. But that was one of the things he promised and then didn't get done. So
if I could ask a favor of Canada, it would be to teach our man-child and the enablers surrounding him a lesson on trade. I hope that the premiers are able to back up the rhetoric.
Yeah, so far we've only got
But you're-
one odd one out, and even she's starting to warble. So we got a one squeaky wheel right now, and it's fucking Alberta.
Yeah. How could I have guessed?
Who could have guessed the Texas of Canada as being a squeaky wheel about Canadian unity? You would think it would be Quebec, but nope. Quebec's like, we're
No.
not talking about separating from Canada until Donald Trump is gone.
Bloc
That
is
is
a bit
literally
more
a thing they
pragmatic.
said. The leader of the Bloc was like, no, we're not having this conversation right now.
The Bloc is a little more pragmatic in that sense, but yes. So because I don't think that countries should negotiate with Trump on trade because it doesn't matter. Even if
Sure.
you come to an agreement, it's not. He'll change it yet again.
I'm not even
And
convinced that
so-
it's going to matter in the next one, though, because if you have another guy that comes in and just does whatever anyway, like, until there's some kind of structural change.
Historically, the U.S. has been a bit more consistent in its trade negotiations than now. right?
Not if you ask Jean Chrétien.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, I think what I'm hoping is that Canada can teach these people in the White House a lesson. It's going to be a painful lesson for both sides, but I think Carney was right in walking away from negotiations.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered even if the candidate had agreed. It would have changed it again. Because Trump cares for one and only one thing, himself. He doesn't give a damn about the party. He doesn't give a damn about the country. He doesn't give a damn even his family are means to him, right? And so unless Canada is going to go and shove money up Trump's ass, Trump is not going to care about what Canada does.
I think that there's another factor with what some of these things appear to be that were being added in. I think if Carney didn't leave the negotiating table, it would have started to divide Canada.
I suspect that if the State Department regulars had anything to do with that list, they would have said, they would probably were told, put things in that will make it almost certain that Canada will walk away. They wanted Canada to win the law. And it was done for incendiary reasons. Now, there are disagreements on matters of trade with the United States and Canada. There's disagreements between
There's always going to be
countries.
Yeah, but that's the point of negotiating.
You can come to an agreement, even if you have agreement to disagree, or an agreement to defer the thing. That's what happens in that.
Sometimes you can kick the can down the road about certain things where it's like, you know what, is this that important right this very second?
And sometimes can kicking because you're too into the current moment is perhaps
not a good idea. Yeah.
So I think that the U.S. delegation put forward as many things that Canada would object to as they could to force Canada to walk away. And they were hoping that would say, well, see, Canada negotiate there, blah, blah, blah. And so excuse, right? Now, state media has done things where MAGA people frequently say, Canada bad. Canada is unfair. Canada is mean. Canada is not just like that thing. And they're playing into the
Canada, what the
Gentlemen
hell?
of Putin organization, sadly.
To be fair, Canada is historically very mean to fascists.
That's true. That's true.
It's just sometimes Sometimes they could have been meaner to their own fascists.
Sometimes Canada's not sorry.
Well, in that sense. But yeah,
And
certainly,
they
if
do it
America,
again.
Stop apologizing to Canada and start
Yes,
working
please.
to behave better. Stop thinking, well, if I don't like the election, I'm going to move to Canada. Canada is a country that has people that has its own problems. Please don't carry your own problems across the border and say, well, now everything's going to be fine, right?
The grass is always
You're probably
greener.
not going to be fixed by moving to Canada.
Yeah.
You're probably
I
going
don't
to create
think that
more
people-
problems.
I don't think that people who want to move to Canada are wanting to move to Canada because they think that Canada is perfect or that doing so will fix the United States. I think people have the understandable and perfectly valid urge to just not want to be under fascism if they don't have to be.
That's
And
valid.
I don't think that there's a problem with that.
I think
No, hey,
I think it's
yeah,
I think it's
there's
two-pronged, right? I think
polarization.
that there are people who are reactionary. There are people who are like, the election didn't go the way I want it to, therefore I'm going to go to Canada. Because we've seen that the last couple of election cycles. We've seen a lot of that. And that is different than somebody who's like, my life is in danger living under this fascist regime because of who I am, and I don't want to be here because me being here, even if I wanted to fight for my country, is not effective anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, there
So
are people who can effectively fight from outside the United States. Like,
Oh yeah.
if your main
Yeah.
thing is that you are good at like spreading information and maintaining like news networks and networks of coordination, because of the internet, you can do that from virtually anywhere, with possible exceptions of like maybe it would be hard to do that from like Japan or Australia, where the time difference is so extreme that it would be hard to coordinate with people in the United
Sure.
States. But that still leaves like basically all of Europe and Africa and North and South America as places where you could plausibly do coordinating and news dissemination and information sharing from those places.
Athens makes a
Yeah.
really good point at being cautious about moving to Canada because I live here. So look out.
That's true.
There's a
And by the way,
goblin
hi,
infestation.
hi Athens, hi Orange Dot, and see, understand people are people where you go. Moving, you have a reason to move
Think about it a little bit more, yeah.
there rather
Yeah.
than a reason to move from. Probably have a better time.
Unless you're a straight up refugee, in which case, yeah, just get the fuck out.
And I say,
Look,
so
I happen to think that leaving a fascist country is always an acceptable thing to do. Like, I don't think that anyone who fled Nazi Germany was doing the wrong thing and should have stayed in Germany to fight for Germany.
That's another thing, right? If we want to talk about how like countries cannot be friends with each other because they're just allies up to a certain point because countries are not people. Yeah, what point does the United States have enough value to still fight for the structure that is currently structure that's kind of on fucking fire right now? Not that it's been totally obliterated, and not that it can't be patched or fixed or replaced in some places to keep it functional. At what point do you say my life is worth sacrificing for the country, or it's not worth it? Because, I mean,
Yeah.
Germany is a good example, right? So is there a point where America hits that? Is there a point where Canada hits that? Is there a point? And I think that's going to be a really, really big personal decision.
I'm going to actually steal something from Islamic ethics here, which is not a
Ooh.
thing I normally do. But in Islam, there are 5 basic categories of morality when it regards actions, right? So on one end, there are actions which are obligatory and which it is immoral to not do when whatever triggers that action comes up, right? So in
Okay.
Islam, this would be like if you avoid giving to charity for your zakat, which is supposed to be a certain percentage of like certain assets and their categories, whatever you can calculate, right? If you don't do that annually, which is an obligation, then you are doing something immoral. Okay. Then the next one is there are certain actions which it is not immoral to fail to do, but which it is morally praiseworthy to do. So this would be like maybe giving extra charity beyond zakat, right? You don't have to, but it's good if you do. Then there's just the neutral actions where like it doesn't matter, which is like, do I have chicken or beef for lunch on Wednesday? Islam has absolutely nothing to say about that in general, and is just like, just figure it out. Just don't eat pork. Then there are actions which are not forbidden, but which are seen as unseemly, right? And then at the far end is actions that are forbidden, and doing them is wrong, right? And so I'm going to say that fighting for your country is in the praiseworthy but non-mandatory section if your country is a fascist country. I do not think that you should be like censored or seen as a bad person for saying, you know what, my country is turning into 1930s Germany. That was a bad time for everyone. I'm out. However, if you have the option to stay and actually do something that is contributing to fighting that, and you choose to, I would say that's praiseworthy.
Yeah,
But on the other hand,
I agree. All
Yep.
that sounds reasonable.
if what you can do can be just as well done from anywhere else, right? Then I would say that I would recommend that you get out if you can.
I'm going to say column A, column B. I think Landon has a good point in that if you're going to flee your country, you should be choosy about where you're going and what you're going to contribute when you get there. But
Well, for
if
some
you're
people,
choosing,
they don't have a lot of choices.
some people
right?
do
Like,
not
if you
have a lot of
Irish-
options. That's totally
Right.
valid. If
Like,
you
if you have a
can,
Mexican citizenship,
You're going to
well,
Mexico,
If you're going
yeah.
to flee anywhere, you're probably going to Mexico.
right?
Right.
When you're in that refugee position. But if you're somebody who's just like, I just want to get the fuck out of here because I'm not happy with something that does like a little bit, you just vote differently. That is could solve your issue. Then maybe don't make that snap decision, or if you are going to make that decision, be picky about where you go. But when it comes to
Not everyone can be picky, though.
not everybody can be picky. No, I think we made that clear. There's a different aspect here, because I think Dapper's got a really good point. I think Landon said he agreed. I think that there's a different point about when is the right time to fight fascism, and I think that point might be before it's in fucking office.
Well,
It's
yeah.
useful that way.
So one of the things, though, is that, okay, so first of all, fighting fascism is not always going to be effective. Sometimes you're going to fail to fight fascism.
Yes. Yeah,
Another
you're not,
thing is
yeah,
that
valid.
fighting fascism does not look like the same thing for everyone, right?
No, of course not. It's not ubiquitous.
And then the other thing is, there are some people who are like, you know what? I need to make sure that my kids have food, and that's more important than whatever fighting fascism I could possibly do, because I am in a situation where, like, if I don't work my 2 full-time jobs,
Yeah.
my kids don't get food, or I can't pay for their doctor bill, which on itself, I mean, that's a structural problem within the society of the United States. But, like, when you're stuck in the middle of that, you don't have a whole lot of options.
That's a structural problem in the United States that's independent of fascism. That was already a thing that was already a problem. This is a class war at this point. What I'm getting at is that the fight against fascism, in some cases, comes from outside. Like the fight against Nazi Germany, for example, was fought by people outside of Germany and inside of Germany, but a lot of that was that kind of aggression. Is that going to look the same way in the United States one day? Maybe. I don't know. I hope not. But if you're at a point where you can still use your structure that is still in place, that hasn't been obliterated by fascism, fighting it that way might be the way to go. And if you failed, great, now what do you do? Do you leave and then try to do that fight by coming back in? And, like, whatever your country has been ostensibly killed by fascism, and now you get to rebuild it from there? Mm-hmm. Or, like, what does that... And the answer is there is no one singular answer to this. I'm not trying to imply that there is. I'm just posing this question out there because I feel like this is something we should probably be thinking about a little bit, because it's kind of happening.
And it's the... And to say, be careful, we have to be careful of those that are using the guise of populism to try and obtain power, whether they fit the classical definition of fascism or not.
Sure.
There are people that are trying to manipulate that, and you could say, you know, in Canada it might be PP, in Australia it might be Pauline Hanson, in England it might be Nigel Farage, etc.
Fascism is going to disguise itself.
Le Pen in France, you know, this is a problem that we're seeing, and it's too easy to say, oh, it's Trump's fault, right? Trump is a symptom of this notion of somebody getting up, appealing to your emotion, not promising to solve whatever is getting you upset, but just to say, yeah, a person gets me, I'm going to support that person. And then they turn around and use that unwavering support of the block of votes that make the difference, not the majority, make the difference, and then do what they want.
I'm going to tweak the naming of populism a little bit and call it being a little bitch. Because all it is All these people do is fucking bitch with zero fucking reasonable solutions, zero math, zero anything. It's just fucking playing on you're unhappy about this thing, and look at how unhappy you are. Aren't you unhappy? Well, don't vote for that guy because that guy is the thing that's definitely making you unhappy. Zero reason behind it. Zero ways of actually solving the issue, even though the issue might be valid.
Yes. I agree with that. So, for example,
Being a
the
little
anti-trans politicians are some people find that being pointing at trans people gets you a chunk of votes. That might mean the difference between you winning and losing, and so they become anti-trans and push anti-trans rhetoric, and the result is trans people are
The result is Milo Yiannopoulos getting yoinked by ice.
Yeah.
The leopards ate my face?
And I'll tell you, the problem what ICE is facing is because this federal force has such high quotas,
They're screwed.
often the easy pickings are gone and they have to go to greater and greater extent. And
we knew they would.
And
Well,
so
remember,
it's
at
known
one
that
point, Ice Barbie
myself
said
and
the number of people
Dapper,
she wanted to deport was the number of Hispanic people in the United States,
Yeah.
including citizens.
Yep.
so as I say, but the notion of and I found it interesting in arguments with, or not arguments, but in subverting MAGA people who I can get them to become sympathetic to what happened to Daria and her mom, and then translation them saying you could be next, especially if they get into power and you were the one targeted by whatever ICE is called, right? That's the thing that, and they start to get that notion, and notion of saying, well, me, right? I should be safe, except I'm not, right? And part of it,
I would just throw out here that if you want to
so
make this a little bit like internet lingo, you would say that these are a bunch of easily emotionally led chuds, and all you have to do is flip the emotion on to the direction that you want it to go in.
Yes.
That leads to the exact most. If you poll people based off of issues, not based off of who or color, they will generally vote for the more progressive, more social safety net, wanting less of a wage gap, wanting more healthcare, wanting more coverage for X, Y, or Z, whatever. They want those things. They're just being led by the nose to vote against their own interests. So if the vote wasn't about who's going to be in power, red or blue, and the vote was actually what direction do you want the country to go in, the majority of Americans would pick the same direction when it comes to what they want, as opposed to what they want to do to somebody else or what they think somebody else shouldn't have.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Great show, everybody.
So I think
We got to like
Chesh, did I answer your question satisfactory regarding you asked about
no, I have way more questions. We need to do a follow-up.
But the basic thing you were asking about of the
you answered the question.
Was there something specific about Carney's recent statement that you wanted me to touch on?
No, nothing in particular. I wanted your surface thoughts, and then Dapper and I were talking about it as the majority of the thing, so I figured I'd make sure got your say.
Again, I hope that Canada helps teach people around the White House a lesson. I think that it's one thing to talk about trade to a place like Papua New Guinea or a country that only has penguins. Another thing to have something where Canada is a significant economic involved with the United States. And I don't think it's in Canada's
America has been bowling around, rolling over everybody, punching everybody in the head without getting hit back. And the person the people that are gonna hit them back is the Canadians. And everybody's watching, and everybody's like, fucking get him! Give him the chair! Elbows, bro!
Will Canada and its premiers be able to be consistent in making that effective? That's a question.
That's a valid question. I think we'll be fine.
mean, I don't expect Canadians to be interested in picking up American liquor products anytime soon, right? That's not what the trade is about, right? And such. It's going to be, will Canada unite and to respond effectively, right?
So far, the response has been, even the ones that are a little bit out of pocket. So, by the ones I mean, even Danielle Smith, who is the furthest one out, like the easiest target, the weak link here, is still like working with Canada and on Canada's side for now. How long is she going to last, and will she be able to cause any problems? Because she's also got election coming up, and so she might get replaced. But I'm not too worried about that. If you ask me, and I think if you ask the vibe that I'm getting, the vibe check that I'm getting from Canadians on social media, as well as Canadians in my general vicinity, we don't fucking care. We're not afraid of the United States. We're not afraid of the United States military. We're not afraid of the United States trade war. We're not afraid of the pressure that they're going to put on us or what they're going to do to our products. We're not afraid of America right now. Should we be? Maybe. Are we? No. We're too busy being spiteful little shits of being like, hey, fuck you. Suck my whole ass. Like... We know that this trade war is going to hurt us. We know that this is going to cause us problems and that we're going to have to deal with that. But we're choosing to do that as opposed to not. That is a definitive decision that Canada is almost ubiquitously choosing to do. And so it's because it's our choice to do so, and it's not like our government isn't leading us into a direction that we haven't already picked to go in, and because we're pretty confident in the guy that we've got doing the job right now, we're not worried. Like, there's not like this when this first started happening in 2025, when Trump was first back into office again, there was like a concern, there was like a palatable concern that was like, oh shit, like, what the fuck is gonna happen? Palatable? Like, you could taste it in the air. Yeah.
The word you're looking for is palpable.
Well, that too.
Palatable.
Well, you don't like, fuck you. Fucking Americans word gating me.
When you read between the lines of what PP responded, you find it's all a bunch of MAGA stuff. He was basically saying in his mind,
we know that. That's why he's so unpopular.
Nobody
cares what he thinks.
So I'm going to be a little MAGA bitch and to not like what's going on, and yet the same thing is that Putin is still getting his revenge on Canada, who is looking to further push Canadians into extreme, both dividing Canadians as well as dividing them from the United States.
Oh yeah.
And so I am concerned because you didn't see someone like PP come and say, now is the time for Canadians to unite, and I fully support the premier.
Oh, did you see what he did say?
I believe so. He might have said something even more recent.
His general response was like, we need to see the deal. What was the deal? Canadians have the right to see the deal. Recall Parliament. But like, he didn't say anything like, yeah.
He's doing the Fox News thing. He's doing it. So it was.
Yeah, he did something completely like it wasn't unrelated almost.
And that's the thing. So now, it's the fact that you got to make Prime Minister Ford look, or Premier Ford look good by his kiss my ass comments. That's fine for the moment, but Canada's got to be effective in its response, not just.
I've heard a couple people saying this, and I don't think you're wrong. However, I do think that there's a place for what Ford is doing twofold. One, it distracts Donald Trump, and like it's very much distracting Donald Trump. It is very, and that is intentional. And I know this is intentional. And one of the reasons why I know this is intentional is because when the fucking Ronald Reagan commercial about tariffs went out, the fucking Mark Carney was on a plane and saw it before it went out. Like, they knew, they're on the same page. The second half of the reason is that it vents the frustration of Canadians in a way that is safe enough that it's not going to cause schisms and problems at the negotiating table or in places where it needs to not be. It helps keep Canadians, the citizens, tempered in their actual responses.
And I would say for those Canadians that
Very
will vote in
important.
writing an election where the member is conservative, remember that this party is not rejecting what PP did, but is hoping that PP will somehow make them more effective.
Yeah, they've got like they're having trouble right now. They're struggling.
So again, I'm not saying this is fatal. I'm saying these are the concerns, and you know, PP should have come out and said Canada is united on this thing, but no, he's too much of a.
He's a goober. I want him to keep goobering. Please keep goobering. Please keep goobering the exact goobering you're currently doing, because your goobering is driving your party into the dirt where it needs to go for a little while, because there would be nothing better right now than this party getting split back into two and the NDP being the opposition right now. For like, just give me that for the next election. Give it to me for like 2 elections, and then the Conservatives can kind of rebuild themselves without the fucking co-opting of the fucking extremists, and PP can stay in Parliament getting bullied by everybody for the rest of his career. Like, do it forever. Never stop, man.
Can I ask you, what do you think Canada is going to? How do you think Canada is going to effectively retaliate on this trade breakdown?
You just asked me that question not that long ago.
Yeah, we did. How do I think Canada is going to retaliate?
How will they? Okay. Not what should they do, but how will you think they'll do it?
I mean, right now they're going shot for shot tariffs. But I think we're going to just keep doing most of. Or do you mean the Canadian people or our government?
The government, Canada.
Oh, okay.
Canada, it's setting trade policy and tariffs. How do you think they're going to effectively counter that?
I think that the plan that they've said that they have is that they're going to invest about $7.2 billion into the chunks that are going to be affected the most, like the ones that are going to be affected the worst from Trump's tariffs as they come in. There is also the continuing to do the shot for shot of like, you're tariffing us here, we're going to tariff you there. I do know that the Parliament seems to be aiming at Republican states with their counter tariffs. They're aiming at Republican states to force the Republican states to feel the maximum amount of pain of the results of what Donald Trump is doing, to effectively assist in Donald Trump's loss of the midterm elections. I don't know how effective that part is going to be.
Yeah.
Except for maybe down the line, like Dapper was saying about hitting the wallet. So they're not going to notice that much about the tariffs and the negotiation part. That's not going to have a big effect, but the result, the wallet is. So I'm not sure how much that's going to, and how you would even measure that to tell. But on top of the plethora and multiple trade deals going along, I really hope our government, and I really think this is going to be an effect that will happen, is that the pressure from the United States is going to force the provinces to work faster at bringing down their trade barriers internally and building up our infrastructure east to west, so that we can just circumvent the United States in totality, so that way the wood that is the wood and forestry industry that is suffering in British Columbia has a place to sell to, because Ontario can't get this fucking kind of wood that it needs, where it would normally just get it from like North Dakota, and they can't get it from North Dakota because of the fucking trade war, so we can just get it from BC, and BC, so hopefully that is going to pick up and get done faster. I think it is going to get done regardless, it's just I hope this speeds it up. As well as the secondary pipeline, which I believe they're working on top of the nuclear facilities, but the nuclear facilities are a different issue. Yeah. The next pipeline I believe they're looking at making is probably going to be in northern Manitoba, so it'll go from Alberta through Saskatchewan into Manitoba, and it will ship out from Georgian Bay or Huron. Yeah. Sorry, not Huron, the Hudson Bay. There we go.
I wish that the Canadian courts would say that trade between the provinces is a federal matter.
I don't know. I think that there needs right now the federal government has removed all federal trade barriers. There's no federal trade barriers between them right now. Now it's just amongst themselves. So they're using the federal government as the mediator, ostensibly, to help get these done and facilitate these things faster. There's still going to be disputes between Quebec and New Brunswick and Ontario and whoever, and that's fine.
Disagreements among the states. The thing is that
Right.
the next time that the premier of Alberta gets prissy with what's going on in British Columbia, and they decide to tariff this BC thing, and then BC tariffs this Albertan thing.
Yeah, that needs to go away.
I think if they have those disagreements, they should become a federal matter or a court matter, not to say, oh, you can't bring your wine in from this province because we don't like you. Right?
I'm hoping that will get resolved faster. Yeah.
I think a stronger Canadian economy and a stronger Canada economically is good for folks, including the United States.
Yeah, this is a part of the rhetoric that's going on. This is part of the rhetoric you're hearing from the federal government and part of the rhetoric you're hearing from the premiers as well. The premiers are all basically on board to do this. Alberta is begging the other provinces to let them run pipelines, right? Begging. They're doing it aggressively and they're not taking the right positioning, but they're doing it. There have been some things that have gone through, so there is progress being made. It's just not as fast as I think most of us would like it. And I'm hoping that this more aggressive stance from the United States is going to force the Canadian provinces to do this faster and build these routes and trade lines quicker, so that way once they're established, we don't have to worry about it anymore, right? Because then they're done. On the other hand, the Canadian people, I think, are going to... there's going to be a straw that's going to break the camel's back, because right now we are not boycotting everything we could be doing. So most Canadians are mostly kind of avoiding most American products, but not all of them. And that's mostly focused on the grocery store. Like, it is mostly produce, mostly all that kind of stuff, right? Or, like, general products. And then there are things that are getting excuses made for them where they're like, well, this is an American-owned business, mostly, but it also uses all of the Canadian local farm stuff to put together the thing that they're selling, right? And so there's a little bit of that. It gets complicated. But there are industries that Canadians could hit that would obliterate parts of the, like, very important parts of the United States, mainly the auto industry.
Yes.
Canada makes, like, a massive percentage, like, Canadian individuals make up a massive percentage of the exports of American cars. Not cars built in Canada that are American brand. Cars that are built in America, shipped and then sold in Canada. If Canadians stop buying American auto, either in brand and or in make, it's going to obliterate, it's going to fucking 9/11 the fucking auto industry in the United States.
And also I would say energy is another of those things where that could be a complication.
Energy is another one. But that's more of a shutoff, not something that the Canadian people can do. That's a negotiating thing.
Well, you put a tariff on it, saying, you know.
Yeah, you put a tariff on it, you put a charge on it, you do the surplus, yeah. But that's not something the Canadian people can do. We could also probably shut down Kraft, the company. Like, the amount of Kraft mac and cheese Canadians buy as individuals, if we all stopped buying Kraft mac and cheese, I'm pretty sure that business would just, it'd be eliminated. It would just go away.
Yeah. The Kraft dinner is an important part, as we learned on South Park.
Yeah.
So
important part of a balanced breakfast.
Yes. So I think
export surcharge, yeah.
Yeah, I think again that these are things that can happen. One of the things I predict is going to happen is that once the dust settles on the midterms and the election denials push their stuff, and MAGA Mike Johnson refuses to seat members where their vote is in question, that sort of thing. And once you get through all that stuff,
so like mid next year,
yes, gain control of chairmanships of committees, people will be disappointed that problems won't be fixed, right? Because you're going to have a situation where you'll just have further stalemate between Congress and the White House, and they won't be able to get away with undoing things. There'll be Democrats that are upset that they can't, for example, abolish ICE because they don't have the power to do so because of that, or the Senate filibuster, whatever the thing is. It's not going to fix things. Furthermore, these folks that are doing this trade wars against the United States, these Americans doing trade wars against the United States, they are going to point and say, see, the Democrats got power over here and everything went to hell in a handbasket, right? That's
same
the
tactic it's
problem,
been.
because they'll basically say that the populists will say, see, Canada bad, and yeah, Canada bad. Elect me because Canada bad, right? That's the simplistic populism stuff.
I mean, I asked this before, where I was like, how long is it going to take America to start talking about Canada the way they talk about Mexico? They kind of already are.
And how long is it going to be?
Because Canadians speak English by and large, so
yes, and we look really white.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to just make a snap judgment that's racist against Canadians.
Yeah, it's harder to be racist against Canadians. Even though 20%, like our population diversity is like 20%. It's like super high, which is good. It's not a problem for us. On the other hand, I think there is like a definitive difference that needs to be made. Like, America does not win this trade war. In no capacity does the United States win this trade war, I don't think.
To be fair, it's impossible to win a trade war. Engaging in a trade war means you already lost the trade war.
Yes.
I have noticed
trade war damage, but trade war is by itself damage. It's economic damage.
But in a regular war, you damage people and buildings too. Do you say the same thing, that you can't win a land war either?
Look,
because people died.
So here's the thing:
don't fix
wars can win with the country that wins the war gaining something they otherwise would not have had, whether it be resources, territory, population centers, whatever. Trade wars always make everything worse for everyone in both countries, and never gain anyone. You can gain a relative advantage, but you gained an advantage at the cost of making other things more expensive for you and everyone else.
I don't know. Maybe the scope is too narrow and I'm thinking too broad of like what counts. Because like right now, as far as I'm concerned, this trade war has brought us fucking unity and is opening up trade routes across Canada itself. Period. That we would not have without this trade war. Period.
Right. There are silver linings to everything.
But that would that not? I don't understand how that's not counting as getting something out of the conflict that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Because overall, you're still harming the economy more than...
Yeah, and overall people still fucking die. So what?
Right. But if the goal of the trade war is to have a better economy, waging the trade war is always the wrong option.
But we're getting a better economy.
Yeah.
You're getting a better internal economy at the cost of a much, much worse external economy.
No, we're not getting a worse external economy. Not yet. It will be for a short amount of time during the war, but yeah, duh, it's a war.
And classic protectionism was something where, industry says, hey, Congress, tax those people because we can't compete on an open market. And so they put tariffs on it, and you get the protectionist thing that's
so capitalist.
I mean, we got rid of the thing that was hampering us when it came to oil exports and trade. So we got that, and that came out of the trade war. That came out of Trump's first attempt at trade war. So that is a better market than what we had before, including with the person that was doing the war, and externally. Maybe I'm just not understanding, or maybe I just have a different perspective. I don't know.
I said, but I hear what you're saying. So where things are going forward, I'm predicting that some of these things, the cans will be kicked down the road to the beginning of next year, and then the consequences will come forward. This includes American economic forces coming to the White House and saying, cut that crap out.
Yeah.
Some of the times of taco is because people with real money go there and say, stop being stupid. You are affecting my oligarchic pocketbook.
Yeah.
and they get what they do is they get the the handlers around the man-child of Trump to get him to go in a different direction. Some people argue that this trade war with Canada was because they were wanting him to do less, let's say, pick your spot.
Yes, doing
And-
less somewhere
and-
else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing. So maybe that Canada gets help because there's a distraction someplace else.
I mean, we're just using our own guys as the distraction. We just got Doug Ford being like, say something stupid about your ass. Like, it doesn't, none of it matters. None of it matters. Like, this whole Lake Ontario thing, none of it matters. No, I don't even know why real journalists are spending time on real news stations talking about it. We barely talked about it here because it deserves to be a meme. It deserves for people to get joking around on it on fucking social media. It does not deserve, like, airtime in the news.
So has Premier Ford come up with a new ad campaign that he's going to launch in the United States? Because all I've heard is he's been on Fox and some other TV shows.
Oh, he has an election coming up, so he's like a little bit focused on punching down at Donald Trump to bolster his numbers in Ontario.
Yes, there, but maybe, yeah. And so
he did say he was going to go on like Fox News, and he was going to go to all the senators and all the governors and tell them that they fucking suck. And yeah, he's done part of that, so he's probably going to keep doing that for a little while.
But will he do an ad campaign? Will he do stuff like that? I'm curious because he is certainly. I think he says my election will be improved if I seem to be petty and spiteful to these people.
Yes.
So I predict that he will do something that will get under Donnie's skin.
Yes. Yes, he will do that.
And I'm just curious as to what. I was like, tell me.
Oh yeah, what's his plan? I don't know. Maybe he's gonna do something with making a reference to like the Titanic or something, and he's gonna be like, Donald Trump on the Titanic would be putting on women's clothing and makeup, and then stealing somebody's child to get onto a fucking knife boat to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah. So
something like that.
And the elections for your province are when?
There should be one coming up soon, TM. Let me double check. Ontario provincial election. I know there's some shit going on soon because I'm starting to see fucking things. So general election, that's 2025. Okay, there is a vote coming up on September 3rd.
So that would say, I think he would probably do well to bolster his standings by doing anti-Trump stuff. And
for anybody who's curious and wants to learn about it, here's the link to Elections Ontario. You can it's
and sadly that's not a reason to elect someone as premier, but what can I say? Get ready to vote.
But yeah, that's what that is, if you're curious.
Meanwhile,
so that's
working hard to try to get the votes to be properly counted in the U.S. There's some good.
This is for by-election stuff, by the way. This is like Hamilton East, Stony Creek, Scarborough, Southwest York, Simcoe, which is like some large regions in Ontario, not every region.
So
I don't believe I'm
not
in
enough
that
if it
region.
goes against the current party to flip the parliament. I assume it's just
no. They're not. Yeah, they're not those kinds of. Yeah. No. They'll be fine. It's probably what I suspect is going to happen is it's likely going to. If it flips some seats, it's going to flip some seats in Liberals' favor, or it'll be maintained by Conservatives. Those are the two options. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Your province is odd that there's like them in most of province, and then there's where the most of the people are. You've got that really interesting.
Ontario has. Yeah, Ontario has some things that are a little bit difficult to cope and manage with, and that's one of the reasons why we want some election reform up here, hopefully, eventually. But I do believe that everybody is on the same page that election reform can take a backseat right now because we need to get some shit fucking done. we got some other priorities at the moment. Mark
Yeah.
asked, "Do you mind me asking how one would go about debating on your channel? Send me a message and tell me what you want to debate about, and if you have whomst you would like to debate against.
And don't
So,
be a Nazi.
and don't be a
And
Nazi.
yeah, don't be a Nazi. And it could be you want to debate with. It doesn't. You don't have to yell at somebody. You can find people to discuss something. You just have to not be a jerk.
You can post. You can you can get me on Blue Sky, or you can find me on Discord, or you can send a thing on my community tab, which is my low key my preferred method because it's very very funny and it keeps everything out in the open where everybody can see what's going on, as opposed to like
Yeah.
people being weird in DMs, which happens a lot. so
Mark Reed
so
Atheist, maybe I'll debate you. I don't know. Pick a topic that I disagree with you on.
yeah,
Yeah.
come on
How
by.
how
Well,
spicy should your food be? Because I'm sitting here like, I feel like if it's not at over 50,000 Scoville, it's probably not spicy enough.
well, it depends. I think high spice is good as long as it's actually well crafted. Just dumping a bunch of acid into food is not. You gotta do spicing well.
Needs a little bit of
So
flavor to it. Can't just be
Well,
like
yeah,
has to be
that's
a
why
has to be a
the
reason for it.
yeah.
that's why the spice or the hot sauce here that is one bottle of, I think it's like 1.5 million or something, is something I add some drops to other hot sauces to
Yeah.
increase the spice level of a hot sauce whose flavor I like, but that's not sufficiently spicy.
Mm,
Yeah.
very
I
clever.
if I ever
Yeah.
get to a chance to visit some of the hot sauces you don't like, I'd like to try them to see what my opinion of them are. The ones you that are the ick, right? Remember this your
Oh.
spice
Mine.
Usually,
thing?
Mine. Yeah, yeah, no,
oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
oh yeah.
You mean
yeah. For the,
my little tasters that are right here. I haven't whipped them out in a little while, but I got a whole taster thing. And yeah, some of them have very upsetty spaghetti
of things. Now
I gotta get an open one. Oh, did my stickers
now
fall off? My stickers might have fallen off in transit.
Oh no,
oh
Oh, this one's got a sticker on it.
that's a lot of hot
Ooh.
sauces. Although,
ooh
Landon,
Ooh.
that's awesome. Did I tell you that
yes yes
my place now has over a gallon of hot sauce?
excellent. So that's another
This
place
one's got a crying face on it.
to visit dinosaurs because you are in a land where there are some really excellent spices, not just that's intense, but it's well spiced. So
Yes,
you know, because I say, if you wanted to make angel food cake spicy,
right.
you just don't dump a bunch of hot sauce in it. You've got to make it appropriate for the dish and do it well.
It's
That's
like
what I
making a
want.
drink. You can't just throw whatever you want inside of your drink if you want it to taste good.
No, you just say this and then throw Everclear and then you don't care. You know,
I have to already be like 3 drinks in for that. Thanks.
that's true. But yes, so I enjoy spicing. I know I've noticed, by the way, that from my various former students around the world, those students that grew up in a culture that was in a high northern latitude or a deep southern latitude were people who had very little tolerance for spice. Those that were more equatorial tended to be pro spice, but if you introduced those that weren't used to spice into well spiced food that doesn't start off by shocking their mouth, you can have them understand the flavor profile and work up to
Mm.
traditionally spicy food.
I'm gonna make
Work
us
up to Indian food.
some. I gotta make us some merch, by the way, and I've gotta make us
Ooh.
merch that says it's Canada, not Canada. And then
Yes.
another one that I saw in chat today, I think it was Gord, but I'm not 100% sure. Gord, if that was you, let me know, or if it was somebody else, let me know. They said, I am Canadian, and I'm a petty bitch. So I have some work to do, I guess, on some designs, because those
Yeah.
are that
But
needs to be on a mug.
True, and
Put it on
I
Dapper's
think we should
store.
also say, you should have a map of North America and have the Canadian flag kind of over there, and for the thing below the line, you say, fourth territory.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've seen people
Okay.
doing that with the province, but it definitely should be a territory first. America needs to be relegated to territory status for a little while. You don't get a say in anything.
You can give places like Puerto Rico
Yeah.
or even Hawaii.
We turn the United States into overall a territory, and then different states and territories of the United States can apply to be a province on their own, and they get decided individually as they come in.
Guam, Puerto Rico, and U.S. Virgin Islands get first pick at
And Hawaii. Yeah,
Hawaii.
Sure.
absolutely. They get priority.
The other thing is you could decide. See, just like Trump has been told to grab Greenland, Canada could decide that Alaska should be Canadian because
Alaska should be Canadian. Like that's been a
would
meme
make more sense.
forever. Oh yeah, you want a Discord link? Yeah, I got you. It's not to debate. It's not to the debate hub, a debate hub server. It's just to my server. So you'll just have to meet me over there. I'll drop a link for you.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while before things
Cash
get
Chesh
better.
outside. How
Cash
about
me
that?
outside.
Midterm elections won't solve your problems. The next general election won't solve your problems.
Locally will solve your problems.
But
Focus local.
hopefully they won't make them worse. The trade result will be a problem. I think when Donnie is distracted by something else, that he might ignore Canada. And then the people that want to make money on both sides will say, let's just do this for now, right?
This trade war situation in all intents and purposes is a catastrophe. And you know what happens every time there's like a catastrophe? Opportunity. That's the way Canada's viewing this. And it is cringe, and I am here for it. All right, we should get out of here. We've been live for 3 hours. We stayed late because Landon came late.
I apologize for being late, but it was for a good cause.
Well, we're glad you're safe and are okay, and I believe you that it was a good cause. I will not ask further questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Go to check out Dapper Dinosaur's channel. Link is in the description down below. Do you have anything in particular coming up?
Well, don't we have the Volcano show coming up?
Soon, yeah. I'll get to that. I'll get to me.
Yeah, the Volcano show is there. In our Office Seed Code contest, we're working on getting the stuff ready for IOCCC 30, which we hope will happen in December. That's our current plan, so that's going forward. And we'll see how things go. Enjoy stuff.
Dapper and I have
and victims of ICE must receive justice.
Reparations. Dapper, me and you have Tisdale Tuesday coming up in 2 weeks. What else we got going on? Or what else you have going on?
So what I have going on is, so this Tuesday is going to be Kent with Bent. Then on Thursday, I have the third part of my, Kent with Bent is at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Then on Thursday, I have the premiere of my last David Menton talking about Lucy video.
Oh, cool.
And that will be at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Then on Friday, Chesh, you and I presumably have Star Trek Adventures, our Star Trek Endurance show, over on Top Hats Off. That should be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
I was so proud of myself last Friday that I sent Jordan a message to tell him how proud he should be of me for that last episode.
Yeah, I started enjoying that last episode, and then I fell asleep, so I have to watch it again while I do.
Hey.
So then on Saturday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe I will be doing Dapper Reacts. I don't know what we're going to cover because it's not going to be Dwayne Gish because there's no Vish for Gish with Vish. So we can't cover Dwayne Gish. So we'll cover something.
Yeah, just be sure. Give a trigger warning if it's Gish or Roger. Those are I asked for trigger.
Yeah.
Oh, valid.
And
if
then
you
the
like,
Tuesday after that, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's Tisdale Tuesday.
But subscribe to Dapper's channel. Yeah. Subscribe up there. Yes.
If you guys like this kind of stuff and want to see more of it, and if you like video format as opposed to live stream stuff, there are videos coming out here on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Why is it that time Eastern? Because Dapper told me to do it that time. That's why. I don't know.
Manya's okay. Hold
there
on,
was
it's
no,
okay,
there was
by the
no
way?
like order. I didn't tell you you had to. You asked.
No, I
you
asked Dapper's
for me-
opinion, and
Yeah,
he gave me
okay.
this specific time, so Dapper told me
Oh.
to, and that's why.
And
That
Um,
is not a fair characterization, Cheshire.
there
You
is
know
a
it.
singular... Let's let the people
When-
decide, alright?
Oh.
When's the next debate pub, by the way?
The next debate pub is already showing for people, and it will be in September. It will be on the 26th.
Yay.
On the
Okay.
16th, there is another follow-up to the Singularity show. On the 10th, I believe I will be back with Chris Shelton. There's a couple of other debatey type stuff and things. And Living with Philosophies on the first Saturday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So that'll be on the 5th. And we're talking about whether or not you can separate culture from patriarchy. And this is going to suck. This is going to be a bad conversation. As for my own channel, you can go and check me out over there. If you are interested in this topic, I've been talking extensively about the trade stuff and what's been going on and how people have been reacting to it. So if you're interested in that, want to see it more very much in depth, just go to my channel. I've been covering it for the last, since it happened. I took
I think you've
one
done a
day
good
off,
job
and that's
in
because
covering, by the way.
Manya stole my channel. And anybody who's interested in seeing Manya, she's around.
Yeah,
She shows up
hi,
randomly,
Manya. I hope
sometimes in the middle of the night.
you're watching
For
stuff on
her.
there. I've been enjoying stuff. But yes, I think you've been doing a good job on the trade stuff and looking forward
Oh, thank you.
to what happens next.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen.
But
Thank you for
Volcano
joining us,
Show,
everybody.
Be sure and show up on Volcano Show because Pele is doing fun things.
Yay! As per usual. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.